Good morning, everyone. I want to say good morning again and say welcome. My name is Guy Salesman. I'm the founder and executive director of MBS Counseling Services. Super thrilled and excited to have you here today. You know, I'm going to read this out, but I'm not going to read it, kind of ad lib. Oh, look at this. Okay. The workshop overview has just been delivered. You know, this is a transformative journey toward achieving financial success and turning your dreams into reality. So we hope that you get something that will help you clarify maybe your present situation or you're looking to the future. You know, at this time, I can say the ladies and men's rooms are right there. There is coffee, tea, and some muffins if you're interested. And at this time, I'm going to bring up to the mic Supreme Richardson, who's going to give you the overview and explain what's going on today. Once again, extend a warm welcome to all.
Welcome, everybody. You could be anywhere in the world, but you came here today, and hopefully we can give you some information you can take home with you to, plant some seeds and grow. Okay. We named this Dreams versus Reality because the first thing that happens before anything becomes any kind of existence is the dream. Everybody just has this dream, but most people don't know what to do to get it into reality. And that's one of the reasons why we say dreams versus reality. One of the things that I learned in my experience being an entrepreneur is if I don't take on the challenge, I can't be challenged. And most times that's me letting things pass me by. You know, we have to get out of our way. And most of the ways of getting out of your way is education, knowledge, information. And the value of that to help you expound in your life and in your destiny. And whomever you may touch is the spark you're adding to that existence. You know, so I want to welcome you all to the Dreams versus Reality workshop. Today we're going to be talking about many things that we face when we talk about financial understanding, such as credit. Most people don't know what to do with the credit or what is a credit. And I'm pretty sure I got some young minds in here that, don't have that understanding either. But today we want to give you that understanding. We want to give you some financial understanding of how do you understand a savings account versus a checking account. What is all that about? Why do we have to have that? My granddad used to stuff his money under the mattress. And I guess that was great for him. But there are other things you can do to help make your money work for you. And that's the key, is making your money work for you. You're not going to be able to work forever. So you got to think about a retirement. What does that look like? What is a CD? The reason why I'm throwing all those out there is because I'm pretty sure you all got thousands of questions, and we want those questions to come at us so we know how do you say, make it work for you. Okay? So, are you ready, Joe?
Sure.
Okay. I want to first, please give me a good welcome to Washington Trust Bank. A little bit more before I get her up here. I don't want to make her blush or shy. But she answered the call. When I put out to ask for sponsorship and support and trying to get this, because this takes a lot, and y'all don't know. She answered the call, right? And that's something that we want to look at in our community. Who are the ones that's ready to answer the call, to engage our community, not to sell their business, but to educate our community on how to work their business, okay? So without further ado, we're going to give Washington Trust Bank, Jill.
Ta-da! Does the other one work too?
Yes.
I can give it to John.
Yes.
So he doesn't have to stand up.
You don't have to stand up. He's one leg.
John Mortensen over here is from the Washington Trust Wealth Management Division also. He's the backup singer for today's presentation. Do you have the PowerPoint? So I'll give you what? Yeah. My name is Jill. I work for Washington Trust. I'm the Community Affairs and Public Affairs representative. So yes, I did answer Supreme's call. He also did come try to find me in Westerly one day, but I was not there. Y'all been in Westerly is a full hour away.
Yeah.
So I, at Washington Trust, have the privilege of managing the community relationships that we create throughout the communities that we serve, from Westerly, Woonsocket. We have 28 branches throughout Rhode Island and one in Connecticut. We are a bank, but we are also a wealth management agency. We have folks on our staff who help people manage their money and build wealth and pass it down from generation to generation. We also have, Michelle will be here shortly. She'll be talking to you about the potentials of home ownership. So we also do lending services. But one of the best things that I get to do in my job is educate and provide a financial literacy program to schools and communities and nonprofits throughout Rhode Island. So I'm happy to be here. And I'm, at the very basic level, just going to share some budgeting basics and strategies. I will not walk that way. Strategies for maximizing your potential. So, show of hands. How many people have a budget right now, today? Couple there. You over there? Awesome. Perfect. Does anybody use an app to budget? Do we use a notebook?
Yeah.
A notebook.
Old school.
Yeah. What about you?
Rocket Money.
Rocket Money. Okay. Does anybody use something within a current banking app? There's some of like if you
Rocket Money is
no, yes, thank you. If you log into like an online bank account, often they will have other resources that will help you put all of your money in one place too. So yeah, perfect. So you're using the resources around you. So I'm just going to go high level. What is budgeting? Why is it important? And specifically looking at the youth in the room, because here's what happened to me. I grew up in Lincoln, right up the road, and I got my first job at 15. I worked at Dunkin' Donuts, and I put my paycheck in my bank account, and I used my tips to fill my gas tank in my car. And then I worked at Dunkin' through high school, came back in the summers, went to college. When I came out of college, I actually blew all my money on a European vacation. And then I was 6 months post-grad with like nothing in my bank account. And so then I got credit cards, because credit cards are fun, credit cards aren't real money, credit cards are plastic. And so by the time I was 25, I was $27,000 in debt, simply living my best life in my early 20s. And so I wished that there was someone in my classroom, even in my college classroom, telling me, you know, this is going to come back and bite you at some point, and you really should get your arms around it. But to be frank, I'm also a person that does not like math. I don't like numbers. I'm not the person that helps you on the front line at your bank, because I'm not the right person to be doing that. But I'm a person who respects the fact that, as Supreme said, you're not going to face challenges if you don't challenge yourself first. You're not going to overcome challenges if you don't challenge yourself first. So financial understanding and a very basic approach to budgeting is, you can't not do it, whether you like it or not, but you can find ways to make it work for you. And the biggest thing about budgeting that we'll get to as we walk through these slides is that the best budget, the best tool, the best strategy, the best whatever it might be, is the one that works for you. It's not the one that works for you that works for me. It's not the one that works for you that works for me. It's the one that works for me. So without further ado, can I just click this? Hi, Marcus. Perfect. So a budget. Very simply, a plan for your money. How many of us have a regular paycheck coming in? Perfect. You have a budget, you have a bank account. Do you get an allowance? Do you get gifts of money for holidays or birthdays or?
I can delete apps.
How do you make money?
I don't make money.
People give it to you. How old are you, like 10? 8, okay. Well, you keep listening. So we have an income. We have a paycheck coming in. We have gifts coming in. We have an allowance coming in. We may have a side hustle. I know there's a lot of classrooms that I speak in where they have more followers than me on Instagram, and they earn money from people and deals and taking pictures and posting content. And then that money goes in your pocket, goes in your bank account, goes under your mattress, as Supreme's grandfather does. Does anybody keep physical money in a box somewhere in their house? Okay. Do we? Yeah, sometimes. Does anybody keep money in Cash App or Venmo? Is that where our balances live? For those of you who are raising your hands for some of those things, do we also have a bank account?
Yes.
We do. Okay. So the reason we keep them separate is, what's the reason we keep them separate? Don't put all your eggs in one basket, all right? What I will say is your physical money under your mattress can be stolen, can burn up in a fire. You can keep it somewhere else. Just make sure that basket is a little bit more secure than box under your bed. So when you get that money, you worked hard for it. You're happy to have it. You want to use it for something that's going to take you to the next level. So if you don't have a plan for it, you're quite frankly being a little bit irresponsible with the money that you have that you worked so hard to get. So a budget is simply that. It's a plan for your money. It's taking the extra time to think about what that money will do for you. Because you worked hard to get it. So how is it going to work for you? Is it going to work for you to contribute to your family and friends through gifts? Is it going to work for you to put into a savings account so that you can buy a new car, so that you can get a new apartment, so that you can save for higher education? How is that money going to work for you? Because if it's in your account and you're just going to spend it, it's going to make you happy in the moment. You're going to get those new shoes. You're going to get that nail salon appointment. You're going to do whatever you want to do, but it's not working for you at that moment. So it's a plan for your money. It helps you prevent overspending. That's another thing that it does. If you do have a bank account and you're using your debit card, if you don't have a plan for that money, you can be denied if you are at the cash register, or you can be successful at the cash register but then get hit with a $35 fee for an overdrawn account, right? It helps you reach savings goals, as I was saying. So tell me a savings goal some of you might have. What's a thing that you want to save for?
I want to buy my new car.
You want to buy a new car. Perfect. Did you put your hand up? No. I need another goal. Even if it's little.
Travel.
You want to travel. Perfect. You want to buy land. Perfect. It's a great investment.
Buy an office.
Buy an office. Absolutely. Anybody else? I'm not gonna move on until someone from this section tells me something they want to buy.
Get my student loans down.
Get your student loans down. Get them off your back, so it's not that looming monthly payment anymore. The day I pay off my student loans will be a day to celebrate, because I've been out of school for like 15 years, and they are very much still there. Very much still a monthly draw from my bank account.
Jill, can I make a quick comment?
Absolutely.
So I work with a lot of clients who should be budgeting, and without question, the main reason I find that people don't budget is because they're afraid of what they're going to find. It's like going into the basement when there are no lights on, and you think you hear something scurrying. It's like, what was that? What was that? And then they do it, and they realize it's like the light goes on in the basement. It's like, this isn't nearly as bad as I thought. So they're afraid. Budgeting's for the other person. It's not for me because my circumstances are different. But I can promise you, budgeting is for everybody. It can be scary because you're afraid of what the budget might show you. But you just have to do it. You just have to do it. And you will be so thankful that you did. For one, because you reap the rewards. And two, you realize that it really isn't as scary as you thought it was going to be.
And actually, John, I'm going to keep you there, because the third reason that budgeting is a stepping stone here, once you kind of get your arms around a budget, you get your arms around a plan, it is to build wealth. And I never thought wealth building was for me. I never did. I never thought I would make enough money to put something aside that I could be ever in my life considered wealthy. Because first of all, I didn't understand what that meant. But to me, it's a rich person that lives on a yacht and travels all over the place and does whatever they want all the time. And it's just like, absolutely not. That's so inaccessible. But wealth means different things to different people. And John works with the wealth management team at Washington Trust. So I just want you to talk a little bit about what wealth represents to people and how it can be a realistic goal. It's not out of reach.
And it's a perfect segue because building wealth starts with budgeting. And I work with people that have an awful lot of money, and I manage that for them. But I work with an awful lot of people that really don't have a lot of money. Maybe they're the son or daughter of one of my clients. Maybe they're beneficiary of an account, so they get an allowance every month. But I've been in this business long enough, and I've seen that the people that get, maybe what we all might consider a meager allowance, if they're smart and they put some of it aside, let's face it, you have to pay the rent, the electric bill, maybe a car payment. There are expenses that you need to meet. But then you have something left, and it's, the decision is, do I take out pizza 3 nights next week, or do I do it only once and save some of the money? And the people that save the money, I can see over the years how it builds up. If you invest, here's an example. Last year, the stock market was up 25%. Can you imagine? If you had $100 in the stock market in an S&P index, a stock market fund, you'd have $125 at the end of the year. That's a substantial growth in your savings. And it can be $100. You can start out with something smaller, but you get into the habit of building up the account and putting money aside, and it really pays dividends in the long run. It's funny, I have 3 kids. I have 2 boys, and my youngest is a girl. The boys, they're smart with money now. They're older, but they used to, mow lawns, make $50, and guess what? They spent $50. My daughter is so cheap. She could make $50, and if she wanted something, she'd come to me and say, hey, Dad, I want to buy a CD, or I want to do this or that. Do you think you can give me the money? I'm like, well, I just made money. But I'd give it to her, and I'd say to myself, what, good for you. You're not spending money if you don't have to. And she's just a saver. She's a saver. And she's never, she's 29 now. She's never had a job where she's made as much money as either one of her brothers. But guess who has the bigger savings account? My daughter does, because she was smart and she budgeted and she invested money, and it pays off. You just have to know that over the short term, it's hard to see big gains, but over the long term, you really start to see those gains, and you kind of look at the statement and you smile and you think,
My budgeting consisted of hoping I had enough in my paycheck for all of the bills that are going to hit and when they're going to hit. And sometimes I game the system a little bit, and I move money from one account to the other, so it seemed like I was positive, so that when the bill hit, it would work and I wouldn't go in the negative. That was like 5 years ago, so I've come a long way. But a zero-based budget is what I use now, and a zero-based budget simply means you get money coming in, however that money is coming in, and you assign every single dollar a job. You don't just pay your electric bill, pay your student loan payment, pay your rent payment, and then end up with $300 at the end of the month and wonder what you're going to do with that $300. You put that $300 to work. Is it going into a savings account? That's a high yield savings account. Is it going into the stock market through an investment? Is it something that you're putting aside for a short-term savings goal, like Christmas? The number of people who don't even think about putting $1 or $2 aside on a regular basis to suddenly have money to spend in December is significant. So zero-based budgeting, the worksheet that you guys have, do you need more? You guys all got some? Is simply the categories that you can use to assign your dollar a job. Every single dollar that you have is an expense, is a investment, is a savings account piece, is something that goes into a savings account, savings vehicle of some kind. And even if you want $20 to do whatever you want with, the $20 that you want to spend on coffee for the week, the $20 that you want to spend on takeout for the week, you're giving it a job. You're not saying, Well, whatever comes up, and I'll have $20 to spend on it. You're actually assigning it a job. And if you get in the habit of doing that, then you're going to be able to see the dividends, like John is saying, $5 in your savings account times 4, 1 month, you save $20. That's better than $0, right? So the second piece of that, values-based budgeting, Michelle's calling me. I'm sure she's having trouble trying to find this location.
Can I make a quick comment?
Yeah.
Jill, so Jill just said something that's really interesting to me. And she said, like, I think it's a coffee for $20 a week. This is a really handy little trick. You know, you go to Dunkin' Donuts, medium coffee, cream and sugar. I don't know what it costs, say $2.50. And then you realize, geez, I do that every day. I do it every morning on my way to work. Pick out the calculator and figure out how many days in a year you're doing that and multiply that by 250. You're going to be very surprised at how big that number is.
That's turning out the lights in the basement.
Yep. And then you're going to say, like, you know what? Maybe the coffee I make at home isn't that bad compared to, you know, going to Dunkin' Donuts. But sometimes when you spend money on little things here and there, think about how often you do that and then annualize it to get an idea of how much you're spending in a year on that. And you might start rethinking that expense.
There's also, when you're early budgeting stage,
Thank you.
thinking about how much you spend in a year. Another way to make it feel something to you is think about your hourly wage. If you make $15 an hour, would you be willing to work an hour for free to spend $15 on McDonald's? Would you be willing to work 2 hours if you want to buy the newest, I don't even know how much video games cost, the newest video game? Would you be willing to work for free for 2 hours if you got a video game at the end of it? So think about the value of your time. Because not only is your money hard, it's your money, you worked hard to get it, but it's your time. You're investing time out of your life to earn this money to do something with it. So if you need a way to kind of gut check yourself about whether something is worth the purchase or whether something is high up on the list of needs versus wants, that's one way to do it. So the second, it gets towards values-based budgeting. Because there's, John's example of coffee is a great one. But if you are a coffee connoisseur, and you get pure joy from visiting different cafes every week to try their latest thing, that means that you value the experience of buying coffee, right? That brings you joy, that brings you value. And all that means is that you just need to figure out how that value fits within your budget. To some people, homegrown coffee, homemade coffee is fine. If they just need the caffeine kick, and they don't get any joy out of it, but they need it to get started in the morning, a home brew is perfectly okay. So think about, yeah.
I just for the heck of it did $2.50 for every day if you spend that for a year. And I actually did the calculation twice because I didn't believe that it was $912. But that perfect example, it kind of adds up.
Yeah. So before I move on, what is something that you value spending your money on? Does someone really love clothes? Does someone really love getting their nails done? Looking stylish. Clothes are important to you. Getting your nails done. That's important to you. Sure. What else? Okay, yeah, salon. Investing in your self-care.
Now it's the eyebrows.
Absolutely.
Eyelashes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Now it's the eyelashes.
Yeah, investing in your self-care. The thing about budgeting is that, like I said at the beginning, the best budget for you is the one that works for you. So if you value going to a salon to get these services done, if you value investing in your vehicle, making your car look and sound really good, if you value gifting, if your love language is gifts, if you love to give other people gifts and you love to present people with presents that are perfect for them for their birthdays, that's fine. Don't let anybody tell you that you shouldn't spend money on your nails, that you shouldn't spend money on coffee, that you shouldn't spend money on gifts. Because as long as you're creating your budget to fit your value system, you're fine. You can't do one without the other. You can't tell someone, don't judge me for spending money on coffee, if you're not also looking at how it fits into your budget. But don't let anybody tell you what's important to you. You do that through the exercise of creating your budget. And it's okay if you love to spend money on your wardrobe, as long as the rest of your budget is accommodated to fit. You can't also want to live in the most expensive apartment. You can't also want to drive the nicest car. You can't also do all of those things. So, if your car doesn't matter to you, but you want to look good, your budget will balance out, right? So, zero-based budgeting is where the dollars actually go, but apply a values-based budgeting perspective to it because your budget should serve you. It shouldn't be limiting. And I think there's maybe one more slide that talks about. Yes, the two things it should be flexible and beneficial. If you're going to lock yourself in, you're going to say, okay, I can only spend $20 on coffee, but I really love coffee and I love cafes and I love that experience. It's going to suck. You're going to hate it. You're going to have a negative relationship with your budgeting effort. You're not going to enjoy it. You're going to create this negative thought system and a relationship, emotional relationship with your budget. So find, yes, ma'am.
But in order to be flexible and beneficial, you have to have your short-term as well as long-term budget. So as long as you have both
Absolutely.
in your mind, and you're mindful of it, I think you can be easily flexible.
Exactly. Yeah. Because again, the budget that's not going to work for you is the one that locks you in, that makes you feel trapped, that gives you negative emotions around money and around how you spend your money. Because, and I think there was a part of the conversation the first time that was about your emotional relationship with money. And you can't afford to not have a good relationship with money if you want to be successful, right? So flexible to shift. Suddenly, we got that car. Someone was saving for a new car. We got that new car, but we got in an accident. So your budget needs to be flexible enough to accommodate medical needs, auto repair needs, whatever it might be. But it also needs to be beneficial. So short-term and long-term savings, as Susan was saying, that overall plan for your money should be able to be flexible and move if necessary.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting. Can I
That's
make
why you're
another
here.
point? So I remember I used to work in Boston, and my dad used to take the train in once a month to meet me for lunch. And I used to take him to, not a super fancy, but a nice sandwich shop. And I'd buy my dad lunch once a month. And it would, I can't remember, say it cost $30 for the two of us to have a sandwich and a soda. After doing that for about 6 months, we'd walk back to work and we'd pass the hot dog stand. And my father said to me one day, I'd be perfectly happy getting a hot dog and sitting on the bench here and just having lunch with you. So I learned two things there. One, well, I had a question and I learned something. One, why did it take my dad 6 months to tell me he'd be happy with a hot dog? Still can't answer that one. And two, don't assume that, if you're buying something for somebody, don't assume it's what they want. Or you don't have to. I think I wanted to impress my dad by taking out my wallet and buying him lunch, but I was wrong. He wasn't impressed by that. So, something to think about.
It's the time.
It's the time. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
But also, when you think about your values things, and nowadays I think it's more of experiential value instead of materialistic value. So I think that kind of a change is also, you can make a better fit with your budget.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Investing in experiences. I mean, you raised your hand and said your wealth to you is traveling, the ability to travel, right? That's an experiential thing. That's not the newest, latest insert blank here. So quick budgeting tips before I move on, and you guys I don't lose you. Be honest about what's a need and what's not. A salon service, sometimes it's a need. You need maintenance specifically, but do you need to get the nails every 2 weeks, or could you do it every 3 or 4 weeks? Right? Is a night is eating out a need?
No.
It's not. It's not. It's a want, right? So if you can prioritize your groceries and your cooking, whatever, it makes a clear definition between a need and a want. The biggest piece that I want you to take away from this is that you cannot be successful if you don't give your goals a specific number and a timeline. If you don't go through the effort, and they said a whiteboard would be available.
It is.
Do we have a marker?
I don't know about the marker.
Okay, well, I'll do it verbally. We want to save for a new car. My dear over here, you wanted a new car. Do you have any idea how much that new car costs? Will cost you?
It's like around 47.
47,000.
47,000. Do you have any idea what you'd like for your? I need someone with a calculator to help me do these numbers, or a cell phone that
We
has a
all have a
calculator on it.
calculator.
We all have a calculator.
Remember that, Dad? They said you're not always gonna have a calculator.
We're getting there. Okay. 47,000. What are we looking for?
Oh, this is this white room?
No, that's what the Judah route.
A RAV4? A RAV4. This is dry erase. Let's just see if it works.
Yeah, this is right.
It works-ish. That doesn't work. Try again. All right, so total thing, 47,000. That's the number we're going to work with. How much do you need to put down?
Oh, usually I like to put down a high number so I don't get too much interest.
Okay, so we're thinking about what you can afford for a monthly car payment too,
Yeah.
right? You want to say, let's keep the car payment around $350
Yep.
for 7 years. What's that number? We'll make up a number about interest. John is doing that, and
Okay.
we'll back into what that number to put down. See, we're sweating. This is a perfect example. If you do not do this
Oh,
effort.
yeah, I know, right?
So, that was 129.
Okay, 29. Cars 47, 17.6. If you want, in this scenario,
Yep.
a $350 car payment, because that's what you can afford based on your budget for 7 years with an interest rate that John calculated in that.
Yeah.
We'll call it 15,000 is what we're trying to put down for it, okay?
Yep.
Let's try this one.
Yay!
For the sake of everybody, just look closely. So 15,000 is what we need for your down payment. How much money? You don't have to tell me the truth. You can make up a
Oh, I'll tell
number.
you the truth.
How much money do you have saved for this goal right now?
So I'll tell you the truth. So besides my saving or whatever, I have my saving specific for the car.
Yeah, good for
Right
you.
now I have almost 8,000.
Okay, so we're starting at 8,000. Oh, no,
Yep. Yes.
Jill, I'll get you one that right.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're at 8,000. We have 8,000.
And I tell you
Congratulations.
one thing. So my car is right now it's 2013. The one is it's 204
Nice.
miles.
Nice.
So I had the chance last year to get this year because I wanted to replace it, of course. But I don't need to replace it right now. My car is not causing problems that much. So what I said, I put my goal, as what you said, to start saving toward that.
In a separate
I
account.
just put $2,000 to be safe in my car, of course, because I want to be safe. And I'm gonna last it and let it last as much as I can.
Perfect.
So that way the goal
Mm-hmm.
that I have, it will be a little
And
less
if,
sweating.
when we do
I
this
get it.
math, we're going to tell you just how long you should try to draw out your current car.
Because when you bring that car, they're gonna give me $3,000 for my car. They were
Exactly.
trying to give me, I say, no,
Right.
I'm not giving my car for $3,000 when I can
Right.
milk it and then,
So, okay, but between, you have 8,000, pretend there's stuff on the board right here.
Yep.
You have $8,000 saved. We're trying to get to $15,000. That is a $7,000 difference. Remember what I told you, I'm not the math one? That's a $7,000 difference.
yeah.
How much money can you afford to save each month? So how much money do you want to put into your savings account for your car every month?
Between 1,000 and 1,500.
Wow, that's
If
impressive.
I can.
Yeah, ideally.
But
Okay, so
realistically,
you want to say 500? Well, are we comfortable?
let's put 800. No,
800.
let's put 500.
500.
Joe, can I make a?
Yes.
I want to say congratulations, you get an A++, simply because there are so many people that could go to the dealership and walk out with the car
Nope.
today, and it's because they're willing to give anybody a car
Oh, yeah.
with conditions that are so bad for you.
Bad.
And the car dealers are willing to do it for two reasons. Because people are less apt to default on a car loan than they are on their home loan, believe it or not. And two, they don't care because if someone starts to not meet the payments because they signed up for a loan that had, it was just too much, they're gonna come and take your car away and sell it for, a nice profit. So you're doing it the right way and that's very admirable. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
Congratulations. I'm doing this math for you right now. We have $7,000 to save. We can save at least $500 a month. We can put that directly into the savings account for the car. It is going to take you 14 months from today to be able to potentially buy that car with a $15,000 down payment. Draw that current car out as long as you possibly can. Keep saving that way. You can either, once you hit the, and here's a way to approach creating these timelines and setting realistic expectations. When you hit your goal, when you have $15,000 in your car account, consider if you can continue saving in there, if you increase that down payment to potentially decrease your monthly payment, or do we start a new savings goal? Do we put that $500 towards something else, right? So, all right, we need something else. We need another example. Okay, now I'm going to ask for an eraser. Sorry, I'm high
You don't need an
maintenance.
eraser. Hold on, wait a minute.
Or just a
I
paper.
saw some
A
wipes
pen.
over there. Use those wipes right there. Can she?
We're going to go with something a little less expensive.
I'll get you.
She can use those wipes right there.
I just need a
I'll get
napkin.
it.
Yeah, she can have one.
Wait, I think I'm good.
She got it already.
The wipes right there.
She got it already.
Listen, y'all promised me this.
She got it.
We can still use it because it still got a little bit up there.
All right, I need another savings goal.
House.
A house. Ooh, that's a great
house.
segue. Is Michelle next?
Yep.
Yes. All right, we want a house. We're going to buy a house in Pawtucket. We're going to buy a house. It's going to be what? How much is the house here? 2 family, so that you can then be a landlord.
Right.
550. All right, 550. And she'll get into the details of this in a second.
A house with 2.
And we need to put 20% down without any other rules and whatever.
So high.
What's 20% of 550?
That's what you do.
110. That's a lot of money. 110, and this is illustrative because Michelle's going to go into a lot of opportunities to make this different. Get grants to get this down, to do less than 20%, etc. So we need $110,000 down. How much money do we want to say that we have right now for this goal? 7,000? You said 7,000? Yeah. All right. So 7 or 0. Maybe we didn't start yet, right? So we need to come up with $103,000. What is 103 months from now?
That's a long time.
9.
How many years?
8 years.
It's less than
2
less
years?
than 10 years. 120 months is gonna be.
8.5 years. So let's talk about this. A couple things around this goal specifically, because homeownership is accessible. Don't get scared by this. A couple things I just want to talk about. So the basic equation we just did is the total number that you need minus the total number that you have divided by the total number that you can contribute. Right? Is that the equation I just did? And that equals the number of months that it will take you. This equation, do it for everything. Do it for, I need $200 to get 2 new tires on my car.
Can you
Do
repeat
it
the
for-
equation again?
Yeah, absolutely. You take what you need. You take the value of the item that you're trying to save for,
Total value?
total value.
Okay.
You subtract any money you already have saved for that goal. And then you divide it by how much you can contribute per month to get the number of months that it's going to take you to get there. A couple things here though. This is going to take 8.5 years.
Too long.
That's not a short amount of time.
No.
But one thing we can think about, first I'm going to go down and then I'm going to come back up. A negative. If you think you can contribute $1,000 a month and something happens in the next 8.5 years, where you need to cover a family member's medical expenses, you have to move, and suddenly your rent is different, so your budget is completely upended. Whatever it might be, you're saving for a house, but your car breaks down, and so now you need to buy a new car, or you need to lease a car, or you need to do. 8.5 years is a lot of time for a lot of stuff to happen, right?
Yes,
so
it is.
we talk about thinking about our budget being flexible. We talk about thinking about our goals being flexible, short, long term.
Right.
It's hard. It's hard to do this, right? But on the plus side, there are ways to maximize this time. Because $103,000, you have $7,000 already. Where is that $7,000? Is it in a checking account? Is it in a savings account? Is it in a high yield savings account? Is it in a CD?
No.
All of those things can give you more than $1,000 per month if you choose the right vehicle. 8.5 years is a short to midterm goal. It's not retirement. It's not it's not caring for a family member in retirement. It's not something that's going to take 30 years to save for, right? So we want it to be in a vehicle that fits for the goal. So it's a vehicle that's flexible, accessible if you need it to be emergency accessible. I'm sorry?
Oh, no.
And you want to find the best interest rate for you, right? You put it in a CD, and some people in the wealth space may tell you to put it in the market, depending on your comfort level.
Not the time frame you're talking about. But
Depends
Jill,
on your risk tolerance.
The other thing to consider, I'm sure, I look around, if anybody's working for this entire time, they're going to get raises and
That 1,000 can go up.
that 1,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Or you come into money somehow, right? You get a gift. Someone bequeaths you something. One of your family members passes away and gives you a gift. So all I'm saying is that there's ways that this can be challenged because life happens. 8.5 years is a long time. But there's also ways that this can be maximized. So back to this slide that I have over here.
Doing all right.
Like I was saying, the biggest thing I want you to take away from this is, I don't need to look behind the screen, simply this equation. Do this activity for everything. If you want $20 at the end of the month, if you want an extra $50, $100 at the end of the month to do something with, do this calculation. Because if you don't, and if you just say, well, I'm saving for blank, and you don't have a timeline and you don't have a specific amount that you're saving for, it's not going to happen. Create a separate savings account like this woman did, to put for the car, to put for the house. Put it somewhere separately. And that's, I think, what the next couple sections that I'll go through briefly so I don't take all of your time. Here. Yeah. So, simple ways to save. You do this equation.
Did you switch it next time?
I did, but I'm going to go back to the 50-30-20 rule. So, these are just some basic ways to create this system to work for you, right? So, how do we want to save? Do we want to save a set amount every week? We did this calculation and we said $1,000 a month, that means $250 a week. You have to figure out how you're going to create, and here I say ideally not in an easily accessible place. Put it in if you bank with Washington Trust, but you have an account with Santander right outside, you have an account with Citizens, put it in that account that you don't access all the time. Put it somewhere that's not right in front of you, that you can't see. Ideally, put it in a high yield savings account so you're making money on it without doing anything except keeping your money there. The next activity, which we just kind of did, is to set the deadline. So you need $1,000 in 10 weeks, $100 a week. Work backwards from there. Automation is your friend. For those of you who have jobs and have a paycheck coming in, does anybody split their paycheck before it even hits your bank account right now? Yeah?
So I have 3 bank accounts.
You have 3 bank, perfect. And so some money goes into your primary spending. Some money goes into the one that you pay bills from, perhaps. Those damn student loans. And some money goes into a savings account. And we'll get back to the 50-30-20 rule in a second.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Psychic. So automation is your friend. Figure out a way to make it automatic so you don't have to think about it. If you don't split your bank account, if you don't split your paycheck before it hits your bank account, Set up automatic transfers once it's in your bank account to happen the day after your money hits. If your money hits on a Friday, set up an automatic transfer to move it from Washington Trust to Santander on Saturday. Say $50 going into my Santander car savings account, $100 going into my high yield savings account with Ally Bank on Saturday because I got paid on Friday. Automate it because you can't mess it up. If it's there and it's happening, it requires no more effort from you.
Okay.
And then the last one, which John may also talk about at some point briefly, is setting aside a percentage of your paycheck. And he alluded to the fact that your paycheck can go up, hopefully, if you're working at a company for a while. So if you dedicate 10% of your paycheck to your retirement savings or to whatever goal you might have, and your pay suddenly goes up $1,000 a year, that amount is going to increase automatically because you're setting a percentage of your paycheck. And so if your starting value goes up by $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 at the end of the year, it's going to be little each week, but each week that percentage of your paycheck is going to be a little bit more. So now I'm going to come back to, okay, we're thinking about our budget, we're thinking about our expenses, the things we have to pay, and the goals we want to save for. General rule of thumb, and this is important for the youngins, once you actually start getting expenses that are more than just what you want to be doing, because you don't have to pay for a lot of the things that adults do yet. You're going to allocate 50% of your paycheck to needs. You're going to allocate 30% of your paycheck to wants. And you're going to allocate 20% to savings. This is a general rule of thumb. If you look at if you make $1,000 a week, $500 can go towards your needs, $300 can go towards your wants, $200, 20% can go towards your savings. This is just a rule of thumb. It's a hope and a dream to live by. The cost of housing right now is astronomical. So your rent may take up, your rent and your grocery bill, your needs, may take up more than 50% of your budget right now. And that's okay. It just means that the other 2 percentages need to be adjusted. And if you're thinking about savings goals, maybe your savings goal is 30% and your wants are 20%. But if you look at what comes into your bank account every week for your job, and you say, what is 50, what is 30, what is 20, and how am I allocating it, then you know that you're working in a balanced system. Does anybody have questions about that? That's like another one of those equations that if you take nothing else from this presentation, think about the 50-30-20 rule and think about setting goals and timelines. Nothing? Okay. I think that's kind of, you want to do retirement? So I'll quickly, on the screen behind me are some of the accounts. We were talking about checking accounts. How many people have a checking account? How many people have a savings account? How many people have a high yield savings account? How many people have a CD? How many people have an investment account of some kind? A 401k, an IRA, 403b? Okay, perfect. So in this example of the house, as we were talking about, the money that we're working with is kind of high dollars, right?
Joe,
You want to make sure it ends up in the right place.
before you move on, can you just describe the difference between a savings account and a high yield savings account?
Absolutely.
Because that term keeps coming up.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, high yield, what is the difference?
Yeah.
Please do that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. And Marcus, feel free to chime in if I get this wrong. So when you open a bank account, you come to Washington Trust, as I said. You go wherever you bank. You go wherever you bank. Often you open a checking account, they give you a savings account. When you log into that online, you can see your checking, you can see your savings. That savings account is likely not equipped with an exceptionally high, if any, interest rate. And it's like 0.05 or 0.03 or something.
For a regular savings, that's actually,
I'm a banker. So what that means is if you're putting money in the savings account, when you log into your bank, you have a checking account, you have a savings account. If you're keeping money in that savings account, you are earning interest, but it is 0.03%.
So that's like 3 cents on the dollar.
So that's like not a lot. That's 3 cents on the dollar,
Right.
with that math.
Yeah,
I trust your math.
That's what
No, it's much less than that.
Less than 3 cents on the dollar.
What is it,
It's
like
not even a penny.
1.5 or something?
So it's not a lot. The point is, if your primary savings is in the savings account that comes with your checking account, the basic savings account, your money is there and you're saving it, and I'm proud of you for that. But it is not working for you. It is not working as hard as it could be. So if you consider two other options, there is a money market account, which quite frankly has a lot more bells and whistles, but also rules affiliated with it, usually requires higher balances, comes with checks, so makes it accessible for you to use if you need to use that savings account transactionally. But a high yield, yes, they're usually higher. Yeah. Yep.
Wait, the minimum for
a money market.
For a money market.
Yeah. A high yield savings account, on the other hand, and I am not here to endorse other banks necessarily, but I use Ally Bank for my high yield savings accounts.
That's fine. I don't know who that is.
It's an online bank, actually.
Well, let's keep going.
Ally,
A-L-L-Y.
And Washington Trust, we offer high yield savings accounts too.
We're rolling with Washington Trust.
We do offer high yield savings accounts. The interest rate just isn't as high as Ally Bank. So a high yield savings account is simply a savings account that actually works for you. And it gives you a percentage that's much higher than the regular savings account on your money. So by putting your money in, I'll use Ally Bank as an example. I have $1,000 in one of my Ally Bank checking or savings accounts. They give me 4.25% back on my money right now. Yes, ma'am.
What is the minimum that you have to put in a high yield savings?
Ally Bank does not have a minimum. Yeah.
That ain't working for me.
Right.
No, you can put as much as you want in it. You can put it has to be funded. Yeah, it has to be funded. And to Michelle's point, you can literally start with $20. Throw it in a high yield.
Just start.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Throw it
At
in.
the bank or just the bank she's
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
What's the amount that you give in a high yield savings account with Washington?
With Washington Trust, what's our high yield rate right now?
Right now it's about 4.
About 4.
4, and so then on the dollar.
4%. So that is 4 cents on the dollar.
That's high yield.
4%. 4%. So we're talking about a standard savings.
So let's use numbers.
4%. It's 4 cents on the dollar.
4 cents on the dollar.
I have $1,000. My high yield savings account at Washington Trust. Okay.
4%.
4%. At the end of what period do I see my interest on that?
4% is what we call an annual percentage yield. Just like
Annual.
But annual percentage yield is the actual compounded interest.
4 cents on the dollar.
Full
You got $1,000.
months. So compounds over each and every month. So that's how that's created. So at 1,000 on the top of my head.
So every year.
Oh,
Every
so
year.
that's yearly. That's not annual.
Annualized.
My next question is, for that, what's the minimum to place in a high yield?
At Washington Trust.
You start with 20 to 50.
Anything, no minimum. It has to be more than 0.
The more that you carry, the higher the rate. So, and I yield savings, and most banks are like that. It may be 1.5%, 2%. But once you get to a certain level, let's say you get to 2,000, they may kick up to another tier. That could be 4%.
And you can add to it.
Absolutely. You make deposits anytime.
Anytime.
Mm-hmm.
I have folks that, I'm a big fan of automation, so don't think about it. Every month,
Do it.
every month, every 2 weeks, every week, or however you want, that makes it work for you. You just have it added automatically. You can sweep from your paycheck, or it comes from your checking account, goes right into the savings. You get to a point where it becomes normal, it becomes natural. You don't think about it, but it continues to happen every week, every 2 weeks, or any which period you do it, to a point where once you look at it, even 6 months down the line, you'd be really surprised at what you're actually putting away.
Absolutely.
It's really just putting that automation in play. Really just forget. Just like you pay a bill. You pay a bill every month. You pay rent, you pay a car.
You gotta pay your savings. Pay yourself. That's what it is. Yeah. Pay yourself first. Yes, ma'am.
I have Chime. That's
Oh,
what my
sorry.
access Chime. Oh, sorry.
Give me 1 second.
Do you need like all these accounts? Like, I mean, like, I only have a savings and checking account. Like, can you just use that for the rest of your life? Like, do you need like all these other accounts?
You don't need them, but if you want to hack the system, exploring how they could work best for you is worth it. You have a checking and a savings account with whatever bank you bank with.
Yeah, but why do you need like multiple banks and also like why can't you use one?
You can, but to use multiple helps you create those automations, and it depends on how you function. If it's out of sight, out of mind, something's happening over there. I'm making money on my money that's somewhere else, and I can't see it, so I don't remember I have it, so I can't choose to dip into it to move into my checking account to suddenly be able to spend it, right? When you have one bank and you have a checking and a savings account, those transfers from savings to checking are very, very easy to do. So if you want to like fool yourself into making more money and being more responsible with your money, having accounts in a couple different places is worth it. And what I'll also say is it doesn't all have to be checking and savings account. My paycheck goes directly into my primary checking account, goes directly into my investment account, and goes directly into a high yield savings account, 3 separate places. Because my investments are in the market, my high yield savings account is earning interest simply by being there, and my checking account is where all my bills hit and where I can access money if I need it. And that's the other part about these accounts and some of the key differences. A CD, which is a vehicle that has typically higher interest rates and timelines put on them, you'll be penalized if you take money out of that early. So if you're thinking about putting money into any of these vehicles, think about the accessibility of that money. You can go to Ally Bank, you can go to wherever you have your high yield savings account and withdraw money from it if you need to. You can move money out of it if you need to. You can do it with a CD, it's your money, but you'll get penalized for it and have to pay fees and stuff like that. So.
But this also goes back to budgeting. Like when you say how much of it you want to go into certain account, how much you want to go to bank, it all starts with your budget.
With your plan for your money.
And then how much, what you really want to accomplish in the long term, then you can use however bank or however, means of investing. Then as long as you know where your money goes, you get to decide. That's why it's a lot easier. I mean, I'm not promoting any particular thing, but it's just diversifying where they are going. That also gives you better security in the long term.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay, I have a question. Do you guys offer monthly interest rates or quarterly interest rates, or do you know anything like that?
So our interest rates compound monthly,
They compound monthly, but they pay quarterly.
but they're paid quarterly.
Some
So
banks do it, on a monthly basis, some do it quarterly, some do it with a CD paid at the end of the term that you pay. So it's all, depending on the type of, what sort of individual has. At the end of the day, start with something.
sorry, you had a question too that I.
Did you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yes, you're in the back.
Marcus with the mic.
He's over there on the side, they can't even see you, like
Thank you.
the odds behind the curtain.
So again, the accounts, there are differences. It's your money, right? But first thing you need is to start. Put it into some vehicle. Even if it's a standard savings account, that's one place to start. As you start to build knowledge and learn other type of vehicles to use, then you can start to move money around. So just to start, but to your question initially, yeah, you can start with just your checking and your savings. But again, just start having those type of plans on a monthly basis, weekly basis. Look at your money. At the end of the day, it's yours. But then with financial literacy, you're trying to really leverage that, put that money to work for you.
And I will also just say, it's not your job to memorize everything I'm saying today, because obviously I'm here representing Washington Trust. Marcus was a branch manager for ages in North Providence. These questions, these conversations, these decisions are opportunities for you to come into a bank and sit down with someone and say, here are my goals. Help me figure out how to achieve them. Because that's exactly what a community bank is for. We're there to help you create this. It's not your job to be proficient at this at the end of however long I've been talking. It's not your job to memorize it. It's not your job to suddenly understand it. But just knowing that these foundational principles exist and there are resources in the community at Washington Trust and at other banks to help you make these decisions. If you're like me and you don't like math and you don't like thinking about dollar signs all the time and you want someone else to do it for you, that's what a community banker is for.
And also, I like to remind everyone, this is being recorded live in Facebook.
So you can memorize it if you want.
You don't.
Yes, sir.
and also one more question. When with you guys' 4% annual rating, is it like compounded like over the months into percentages
Yes.
and then over, and is it rounded up? Is it like
It is not rounded up.
I know some banks, since it's like 0.03 at the end of the year, it could be like 3.09%. I know some banks round up to 3.1%.
Do we round up?
Not necessarily round up, but it does equate, what I said before, the percentage yield, but that actually comes too. So, for all intents and purposes, you'll see that banks, financial institutions, they actually just set a certain level to make it easily palatable. In other words, 3%, 3.15, 3.25.
We try not to get into too many of the.
Because again, to that point, you just don't want to keep it as simple as possible. So folks can understand, can calculate if they want to do that on their own. So again, the more you start to have knowledge in terms of how it works, the better off you can understand how it actually helps you in the long run. So, but again, to that point, utilize your bank, utilize banks. It's not just, I'll touch upon that later today, but it's not just about cashing checks. You definitely got to look at any bank that you choose as your partnership. It's like, you go to a doctor, right? You don't feel good, right? You need assistance. It's the same thing with your money. It's the same thing. Goals.
As a high yield, not just the savings accounts, but the high yield savings account
With his name?
with his name. Dispersed with
his money. However, when the time comes, you transition naturally to him and he takes it over from there.
There are also custodial brokerage accounts where you can take money and have it invested until he comes of age, which is another conversation that banks can have with you. Specifically us, because we have a great wealth management arm. But
and what state are you guys in?
we're here.
Okay, I'm not here.
Where are you?
I'm here today.
Where are you normally?
Massachusetts.
We're in well, we don't have retail branches in Massachusetts, but we
Whereabouts
have.
in Mass?
Boston.
I have Boston clients, even though I think our closest branch is probably East Providence, Cumberland, Rumford, but we have, believe it or not, we have a lot of customers up in Boston, so I can Norwood, Mass.
That's close.
Yeah. So, but again, with so much technology and ways that we can communicate and do transactions, even distance is not a distraction or not a barrier. It's just having a conversation. My phone, my email,
Video
even
call.
Yeah.
When you come down here, set up an appointment in a branch. You don't even have to set up an appointment. Just walk in on a Saturday. We're open till
Correct.
noon.
Yes, there is no appointment. You pop in, you want to have a cup of coffee, let's go with some options.
So come hang out. With that, I'm going to close this section and flip it over to my girl Michelle to talk about home ownership, because we did an example with you here, but she's got much better news for you than what I calculated on this whiteboard. So, and I'll be around if you guys have other questions about budgeting or banking or our services later. So, and Marcus is here for the duration as well. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
Hello, hi. Can you guys hear me if I talk at this level?
No.
Yes. I don't like the mic thing because I don't like to hear myself talk. So then it echoes. So it's like one of those things. So I'm Michelle Carrasco. I've been in mortgages for over 20 years. Don't do the math, trying to figure out how old I am. I've been a loan officer for almost 8 years. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the process, what credit looks like for us, what credit means, what's important in your credit, how we look at income, and some of the programs like Jill said. So I gave you some little notepads there if you guys want to make extra notes, however you want to get it. So if you want, we're going to talk a little bit about buying versus renting. And sometimes you're still not in a buying stage, and sometimes you are, and there's benefits to both. Some people, you set a goal and you're like, I gotta buy by next year, and you might not be ready. So when I know you guys talked about setting goals. When you set your goals, set them a little realistic so they're not, like, you don't get deflated if you don't get to buy a house by next year. So there's pros and cons to both.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'll go back to my post.
That's all right. I got it. You got multiple jobs here. So advantages of buying, as you can see, there's equity in the house, meaning you buy the house after a period of time of you owning it. There's equity there that you can take money out. People take it out to pay bills, to fix the house, to pay off college. There's a sense of community security. You know you're not going to go anywhere because it's your house as long as you pay it on time, right? You can create your own independence, meaning some people, I should have a question, sorry. Some people use it, like I said earlier, to get you out of a tight spot. Sometimes we see that when we refinance. And then you have no landlord, so you don't have anyone kicking you out and telling you can't have a dog or paint the walls purple. So there's positivity to that. And there's also positivity to renting. There's no responsibility. If something goes wrong, you just call the landlord. When you own it, you're the landlord, so you gotta go get that heater and everything else. And it's easy to move, right? So if you don't like it, you just go somewhere else. When you own a home, it's a little bit harder to like sell the house. It's a longer process. Disadvantages, considerations, like we like to call them. You're responsible for your taxes of the house, the maintenance, like I just talked about. That build their equity so they can take money out of their house, but you're helping them do that by paying them and everything. You have no control if the rent goes up, and for possible eviction, right? Because I get clients that are like, well, he's selling the house and I have to move in 30 days. So you don't have as much control. The next piece, we're going to talk about what we need. So when you come see me, I'm going to ask you for these documents. State ID, license, whatever it is. Your last 4 pay stubs, your last 2 years of taxes, and W-2s. And people just bring the taxes. If you're not a self-employed person, I need your W-2s as well. Last 2 bank statements. If you have a 401k at work, bring that or other investments. I know a lot of people do like Robinhood and crypto, so we'll take a look at all of that. If you're here as a resident or with a work permit, bring that. Or can see it in your bank or see checks coming in for at least a year, we could use that as income as well. Did you have anything about this?
What's the statement? Anybody else is statement, especially if it's something.
The price of homes has gone up in Kentucky, so real estate isn't a bad investment. That's another big advantage. It goes up in value over time.
And then you can buy a multi like we had here, and then buy your single, putting 5% down and rent that 2 units. So that'll ideally help you pay that one off and sometimes help you pay the one you're gonna be moving into depending on the rents that you can pay.
Okay, quick question. I kind of want to go back to the slide before to kind of have that connection with what John had said. And I'm going to ask the group here, do you guys understand what equity is? Okay, so.
Sorry.
No, and I saw some heads go, equity is literally the value between what the property is worth versus what you own. So that equity is actually yours. You're part of your net worth. So meaning, if you bought the house at $200,000, now 10 years later you owe $100,000, but now the house is worth $400,000. The difference between the two is the actual equity that you currently have that you can leverage. Does that make kind of sense?
No, it's not true.
But again, in terms of home ownership, that's also building wealth, building equity. So I just wanted to point
No,
that out.
that's a good point. That's a good point. Sometimes we get lost in the terminology since we use it every day. Go ahead.
But also, I think, thank you for bringing it out. Their understanding of equity also, right now, they're high school. They probably owning the home might not be very far-fetched, but this is something understanding equity that makes them connect what they have right now in the future.
And not just you guys, but you can bring this back home to your parents. Some people think that buying a house is so far. I got into this business as a loan officer because when what happened in 2008 affected a lot of the Latino market. I'm Dominican, I was born and raised here, and a lot of it was a language barrier. And I was in the closing department at that time, and you hear loan officers say they don't know what they're signing. And people, they were literally signing the document. It was crazy. That's why we ask for so much more now. 2008, you literally needed to breathe. And you would get a house for $300,000, making $8 an hour at McDonald's because I saw it. And the people that were hit the most were the black and brown people. You don't understand these things, and you're confiding in the professional, and you don't. Back then, there wasn't any guidelines, and they were money hungry. They were getting, and they're like, just sign here. So it's important, and being first generation, my mom doesn't speak English. I was 9 years old translating. In a meeting, something like this, saying, okay, explain to me what equity means to a 9-year-old so that I can translate that diluted version to my mom. So I got into this for that reason. I help out a lot of people that, single moms that come in, like, I want to do this, know nothing, and we'll get there. I've worked with people for 4 years. At the end of the day, the goal is to get a house. Like I said, you might set your goal for a year, and it might take you 5, going back to what you're saying. It won't happen. But as long as you stay steady, I'm going to stay with you and guide you. When you follow some people come in, I tell them what they have to do, I never hear from them again. And there's other people, like I said, we worked together for 4 years. Like, okay, like I lost my job. Okay, but you're going to another job. Call me back. I got to buy a car. We become best friends because I'm giving you a plan based on where you're at today. But now you need a car, and that's going to affect your credit, right? Because now that's a debt that we didn't have before. So it's going to be like, okay, if you're going to buy a car and you want to stay on track for next year, you can't have a car payment more than $600 or more than $500. And if for anybody that just bought a car, that's really low because they're like $900. They come in, I'm like, what did you buy? Cars went up just as much as houses. So for the younger ones, just make sure that you listen and bring that back home because you don't know, and you guys probably don't understand what the finances of the house are. But you can bring this information and I can guide whoever. Questions. And I talk fast, and I know that. And if you guys don't understand something, just let me know or tell me to repeat it, no problem. So everything starts with credit. I have people that come in with a chip on their shoulder. I make $90,000, but you have 400 credit, so you can't buy a house no matter how much money you have. And then I have people that come in, I think my credit is 500 and they're 700. they don't understand it, and they're basing it off Credit Karma, which is really good for monitoring purposes, but it's not your real credit.
I know you don't
You
like
gotta
to-
speak up because
Ms. Carrasco, can you use the mic too? Because there's other stuff. Yeah, because there's other stuff happening.
Hello, can you hear me?
Better.
Told you.
You told her that a while ago?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I didn't realize.
Yeah, because
They're
something
having
going on.
conversations over
Got
there.
it. Okay.
They just
I
took a
usually
test.
am told to be quiet because I'm too loud, so.
nah, you good.
Now I can be loud. I thought I wasn't gonna need it.
Nah, you among your people now.
I know, right? I usually, when I go to a job interview, I'm like, just know that I'm loud when I get excited. I get just as excited as the client. So I'm like, oh my God, you're coming. Anyways, I digress. So, do you guys have any questions on credit? I'm gonna go a little bit into it more, but like I was saying, Credit Karma is great or whatever you have, but it's not your real credit. Until it's pulled is when you're gonna know. We at the mortgage departments. Did you have a question, honey?
Nah,
I'm shocked. Credit Karma is not your real credit.
It is not your real credit. It's just a monitoring application. So it's great for this. If it starts going up, you know you're doing something right, but that number is not your number. I've had people come in and it says 700 and I pull it and it's like 620. And I've had people come in with 620 and it's 750. So
where do you find your real number?
when you pull it. But when you pull it, it affects your credit. And no one wants to do that. Because I get a lot of people that come in and they're like, do you really have to pull my credit? My question is always to anybody that says that, what are you saving your credit for? To go to Victoria's Secret and get a credit card, or for your house? For your house. So I have to look at it so I can tell you exactly where you stand. Credit does two things for us in the mortgage world. The number puts you in the tier of what interest rate you're gonna get. Low interest rate, high interest. Low credit, high interest rate. High credit, low interest rate. So it's like a seesaw, right? So that's what the number in your credit report does. The details in your credit report is what tells us how much you qualify for. So what we do is this. We pull it, and we're like, the programs are like, all right, 660 Rhode Island Housing. So at Washington Trust, we do everything. We're like a one-stop shop, right? So you don't have to go to Rhode Island Housing. We do all the programs. And we have our own first-time homebuyer program with us. So 660 for Rhode Island Housing will get you into both of their programs, which I'm going to go into in a little bit. If you're doing our program and you're trying to buy a multi, you need a 680. So when I pull it, this is why I say this is where you first start. If you're at 550, we're gonna stop right there. I'm not gonna collect all your documents because we gotta work on your credit first. If your credit is good, then we go to the next step. Okay, let's see what's in there. Like I was saying earlier, people, you might have a 700, but if you're making $20,000 a year, you're not gonna be able to buy a $500,000 house. So then that's a whole different avenue. So not all people are the same. I get people that are like, oh, my mom bought a house in 1985. That's a whole different world than today. And the programs are different, and you're different. You and I can walk in and we both have the same credit score, but your credit history is very different than mine. And then where you buy a house also matters because those taxes are different. So sometimes you're like, well, I got this credit score and I got this approval and we make the same, but your history is not the same. The details in your credit report is what's gonna get you what you're approved for. Meaning, if you have a car payment of $500 and 4 credit cards and the minimum payments on those at $25, that's already $100 extra. So we're at $600. If you make $1,000, you only have $400 to survive. Can you buy a house with that? No. So versus, let's say you come in and you're making $5,000 a month, that $600 is a penny in the bucket. We qualify you on what's left over after you pay all your minimum payments on your credit card.
Did you say you can help people increase their credit score?
So what we do is when I pull it, we have a program within Washington Trust that gives me like, all right, so if we The impact is for 7. So every year that passes, it diminishes until it falls off. It's really hard to get rid of late because the creditor is the only one that can actually remove it. So now you have to call the person that you paid late and say, can you say I didn't pay late? And they're gonna say no. So 35% of your credit is on time payments. At least the 25, make the minimum. I don't care if you don't have, go get your hair done. Because this is your life. In the United States, you are nothing without credit. Sometimes people have money in their pocket and they can't buy because we need credit.
What's the ideal number of credit cards for someone in the process of building their credit?
You need at least 3 credit lines.
3 credit
So
lines.
that means you can have
Card note.
3 credit cards, a car, and 2 credit cards, whatever it is. Ideally, we can student loans.
That's a nasty word.
Too, I know. For me too. We can make it work with 2 sometimes, depending on the program, but ideally 3. So for the high school, how many of you guys are in high school in here? All right, what we want to do, so I learned this the hard way, again, first generation, and a lot of people, black and brown people, we don't know this. And we wonder why our counterparts in the universities buy a car right out of college or buy a house right out of college because they already have credit. Because their parents put them on their credit card at 16. So their credit started at 16 versus me graduating college at 22, opening my first credit card, and my credit is too new. So what you guys want to do, and parents are okay with this, you want to go home and say, Mom, Dad, Auntie, Uncle, whoever, Grandma, put me as an authorized user. Write this down, guys. You're going to thank me when you're 18. Authorized user. Take out the phones. I'm watching you. I have a 4-year-old. And I have nieces and nephews. I wish somebody did this for me. Ask them to put you as an authorized user on a card that has a balance. The only thing that reports to the credit report is debt. So when you hear people that say, oh, I pay my credit card off and my credit's still at 600 because you're not reporting debt. If you're at 0, nothing is reporting to the credit bureau. So you want to leave everything low, no late. So whatever credit card they have that's low with no debt, you want to be an authorized user. They're not going to give you the card because they're going to freak out. I'm not giving you this because you're going to go to the mall. We just want your name on it. We want to activate the card and you can cut it up. We just want their good history to reflect on you. By the time you're 18, you'll have 700 scores, and you'll be able to go buy your car and get a house, and you'll be ready to start life. Okay? So this is how your parents can help you, and a lot of people don't know that. 30% of your credit is how you utilize those cards. Meaning, if you keep your cards at 50 or below, then your credit jumps. So sometimes people come in and I'm like, you just gotta pay this down. Don't pay it off, because I just told you, the only thing that reports is of the credit card. The available credit. So if you have a $100 card, always leave at least $30 in there to report it. Those 2 things are 65% of your credit. Just keep doing those 2 things. The other stuff is like maintaining portfolio. What did you say, honey? Do you have a question? No?
Yeah. No, I'm just running my mouth.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I thought you said something about a credit card.
I did. And I was saying, should I get a credit card to pay my car insurance off? Because if you give me a credit card with a bunch of stuff, I am going to go to the mall, and I'm not a driver. But I'm like, well, there are things I have to pay. You know what I'm saying? Like my car insurance.
Yeah.
Should I just get like a $500 credit card and just pay my car insurance and keep the little, the extra out of the $500, like just to build the credit? Exactly. But the thing is, I do have student loans and I do have a car loan. And so I'm like, maybe I don't need 3. I already got 2 out of 3. So I'm just talking.
Okay. Brainstorming?
Yes.
Yes.
So it has to be 3. Game plan.
Ideally, it's 3. Ideally, they want to see 3. We've done it with 2.
Is a phone one?
If it's reporting to your credit, yes.
Okay.
Phone lines usually don't. So you gotta do like that telemonitoring. Yeah, you gotta tell them.
Unless you go.
Yeah, but then, like I have people that report their rent. Okay, $1,500, but now you don't qualify because your minimum payment is $1,500. So sometimes you don't want to report the big ticket items. If your phone's like $60, then yes. Questions? No.
We can also at some point, I know Michelle has a timeline to hit, but we can talk about secured credit cards versus unsecured credit cards. Secured credit card isn't a free limit, a free range to spend whatever you want up to your max. A secured card is you give them $500 and you spend against that $500. So it still helps you with credit building, but it's not as much of a risk. If you're gonna go to the mall and spend it all, it was your money to begin with. So we can talk about that after.
Okay. I'm up here trying to think how to get my son, my 22-year-old.
As an authorized user or a secure
No,
card?
not as an authorized user, but
A secure card will do it for you.
because he doesn't have no credit.
A secure card.
And he's really, when I say he's 22, and right now he's with his dad. And before, when he was 18, he was with me. And all the bills are in our name.
He's in the boat that I was. You're 22, don't have credit, but you really can't become an independent because you don't have credit. You can't buy your own car. Now to rent a place, they're asking you for credit.
Right.
So what you want to do with him, if you don't want to put him on as an authorized user, which you can do on the low, like we say, right? He doesn't need to know. Usually, if the parents are here, I tell the parents, put him on, don't tell them. By the time they're 18, you're like, listen, you do have credit.
Oh, he has better saving habits than I do.
So, no, just because they don't want them using the credit card. The parents don't want the kids to know just so they don't use it. So I always say, put them on, activate the card when it comes in, and just rip it up because the whole purpose of that is to get their credit going, not for them to use it. So that would be my advice. But for him, also, add him on one of yours.
His daughter.
Yeah, that's safer.
What happened? I missed something.
Oh, John told a story about his daughter.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Saving all their pennies.
Yeah. Oh, put him at, go get a secure card. Whatever number it is, it doesn't matter. I've had people with $100. As long as you keep some balance on there and you're not close to the max, the numbers are gonna go up. I've had people with $200 credit cards that have a $700 because they pay it on time and they keep the balances.
Do you ever see that putting somebody's name on your card backfire?
If that person pays late, your credit goes down as you're an authorized user, right? So whatever happens on that account happens to you. So we've had situations where we have to tell the client, hell, tell your sister to take you off that authorized credit card because she's been late 3 times and it's maxed out and it's hurting you. So they have to do
Does
that.
taking somebody off the card wipe out the bad news?
Yep, it doesn't exist anymore because it's technically their credit reported on you. So it's not yours. So it's like
It's yours when it's convenient to be.
Yes.
It's not yours when it's inconvenient.
you can get rid of it.
Yeah, it's the
That's good to
perfect
know.
scenario.
I like that.
All right.
Excuse me.
So, sorry. Yes.
If you have a available balance of $200, right? You want to spend like 30%. Well, I'll say like let's say you spend $40, and that's like less than 30%.
Yeah.
So then, do you wait? And like if let's say if you just pay it off like next week.
No, not if you're the people that do that are people that are already credit established, right? So let's say it's you're starting your credit. I would say make the minimum payment of $25 because that's what it's gonna be this month and next month, and then go back. So what I tell people is spend $100 on the $500 card. Go get gas, whatever, and then set it up for automatic payments, $25 every month. You have your 3 months. In 3 months, it starts reporting. Your credit starts reporting. So you'll have your 3 months there, and then you come back and see me, and we'll pull it. So $40, pay $25. That's 2 months. You know you already paid your 2 months. It's gonna be at zero. Go spend another $40.
Oh, so you wait. So if you did that in like a week and then go spend another $40, it wouldn't.
No, because the credit reports, the debt only reports once a month.
Okay.
So if you, once every 30 days. So once you go, so let's say you go, you spend the full $200, but you make your payment of $140, you have $60 left, so you're good. So just keeping the balance low, by the time the payment's due. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. What we look for, so let's say you came in, your credit 750, we're ready to go, right? Income, I need 2-year work history, meaning a lot of people are like, do I have to stay at the job I hate forever for 2 years? No. I need you to be working for 2 years. As long as your income is going up, you can switch in between. You're going to call me though and say, Michelle, now I'm working. I'm going to switch this job. Can I do that? Can I not do that? I need W-2 people versus, where is it? I think he's back there. 1099 or self-employed. Your W-2 will take it. If it's salary, we'll divide that by 12. If it is hourly, there's another different calculation based on that. But people that are self-employed or 1099 sometimes are like seasonal, and they don't, you get all your money, you pay it at the end. So what people do is they write off a bunch of stuff so they don't have to pay taxes. So it's like, I made 100, so they'll call me, I make 100,000, but when I look at their taxes and I look at the bottom, where you took out for breathing, everything's out. You're only paying the government $10,000 from that 100. We can only use what you said you made, so we can only use that $10,000. $10,000 over 12 months is not a lot. We have to take a 2-year average, so it's like whatever you made in 23 and in 24 at that bottom line. So where's my guy that was asking me about? Did I make that any clearer for you?
Supreme.
Yes, you were asking me here.
Oh, about the, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't even pay attention. I can't even.
I answered that just for you. No. So it's the number after the deductions. If you made 100,000 and you deducted and you only paid the government 20,000 because that's what you said you made, then that's what we gotta use. There's other things we can add on later, depreciation, mileage, depending on what you do, but that we'll go into it later when you come visit me. If you're seasonal, you have to be seasonal for 2 years. That's my landscaping people, my snow removal people. They only work, let's say, during the summer or not only in the winter. 2 years of that, and you have to collect unemployment in order for me to use the full year. So I got people that don't collect it because they stay working under the table. I could only use what you made at that point. Full-time versus part-time. So for people that work part-time, you have to be working part-time for 2 years completely in order for you to use that part-time work, or versus like a full-time person. Let's say you were off work or you were working part-time and now you're full-time, will take your full-time hours now. You don't have to work 2 years for that. Working 2 jobs. A lot of us do that, right? So we have the 2 jobs. Then you have to work 2 jobs for 2 years, meaning not that you've been working for 2 years. You've had to have both of those jobs for 2 years consecutively. You can switch jobs. So let's say at my part-time, I left my part-time as a waitress and now I'm a chef somewhere else. You have a history of working 2 years of 2 jobs and we'll take it. But if you just started working a second job so you can buy the house, you have to do it for 2 years. We can't take it. We'll let you use the income for saving purposes, but we can't use it to qualify you. Which I went into that whole thing. You can switch jobs. In between jobs. So let's say you got laid off or you quit. Ideally 2 weeks. Anything over 30 days, or if you're collecting unemployment 3 months, then we need an explanation as to why you haven't been working. 6 months, FHA will let you do it, but you have to be back to work for 6 months. So if you're off for 6 months, you have to be back to work for 6 months. Sorry. No, that's okay. If you receive Social Security, or your parents, or the parents are receiving Social Security for the kids, we can use that as income for yourself for qualifying purposes. As if it's for the kids, the child needs to be 15 before we close, because the income needs to be going for more than 3 years after. Okay, so if it's 15, if the child's 15, we cannot use it unless it's something that we know is going to keep going after they turn 18. And I just had a situation where they wanted, the child had a diagnosis, we knew it was going to continue. Social Security wanted to do another hearing and the deal died because they couldn't get to court on time before the closing to show me the proof, and Rhode Island Housing said nope. Because it could be that the child still receives the Social Security after 18, but only under his or her name, and no longer. So it's not income for the house. The child have to be on the loan, and he didn't have credit and all this other stuff. So same thing with child support. Like I said earlier, we can use it even if it's not in the court, as long as we can track that you've been receiving it for a year. But if the child if he's out of the court, it's only till he's 18 or she's 18, so the same thing. If they're 15, we can't use it after that unless there's an agreement between you two to say until college. A lot of, that's why we look for the divorce decree or the child support decree, because it's going to tell us till when. Some of them are like, okay, only until the child is 18, and other ones have a disclosure that says if the child is in college till 23. So we got to look at that to see how long you're going to be receiving it. So the different type of loans. Jillian was talking. Jill was talking. You want to have here? No, I don't need it. That's a conventional 20%. That's how loans were done 100 million years ago. But then they decide, people notice that not everybody has 20%, 103,000 in the bank. So we have what's called also an FHA loan. So that you put 3.5% down. It does have mortgage insurance, because I'm very clear when I talk to everybody. Mortgage insurance is you telling the investors, hey, I don't have 20%. It makes me riskier because they look at you like, oh, you don't have all the money, but you're saying, I'm going to pay this insurance, that if for whatever reason I can't make my mortgage payment. The investors are coming. Not you, you're still in foreclosure. So a lot of people are like, well, I have insurance, but not really. So once the value of the house is paid down to 20%, you can call FHA and get that removed. If you don't do that, they keep it on till 80% of it is paid off, and then they get rid of it. So it's paying attention to your investments, like Jill was talking about earlier. And we do VA loans too for the veterans. That's a little bit more complicated because it depends on what the Army or the Navy, whatever, is providing them for down payment. But we do those types of loans.
And I'm just going to show you that under a conventional loan, this is 20 years. It's one of 3 because you need 110 down, but under an FHA loan or something, you're hovering at around like 16 to 17,000.
20%, 20%.
20%, I'm sorry. 20%, that's what I meant. 20%. So 3.5%, the difference between having to save $110,000 and having to save $16,000 to $17,000 is pretty substantial. So the FHA loans are different, have a whole different checklist for Michelle, but allow you to get in.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit more realistic. You can say I can save $16,000. 103, right? Like a decade later.
Yeah.
So we also work. So we have our own community lending programs. I'm going to go into Rhode Island Housing a little bit, just because of that. So Rhode Island Housing currently right now, they change their programs every so often. So staying in touch with your lender is important to see what is active now and what is not. So for Rhode Island Housing currently has $15,000 that they are lending you. All the promotions in the radio and everyone saying they're giving you 15, they're not giving you anything. They are letting you borrow. You got to pay it back. 15,000. That program allows you to borrow that 15,000 with no interest and no payment. The only time you got to pay it back, either when you refi to, like, so let's say the rates go down and you want to refinance to bring your rate down, to bring your payment down, you got to pay that 15,000 altogether. If you want to take money out of the house, like we were talking about with the equity, hey, that 15,000 is the first payment that they're going to get. And if you decide, you know what, I'm not going to make any changes, so I don't have to pay this 15,000, your last payment in 30 years is that 15,000. So that's one of their programs. It's good for the people that don't have it right now, and it doesn't, because it doesn't affect your debt to income ratio, which is what we look at, how much debt versus how much income. The other program is 20,000, but that one you pay at the same time. That's a 15-year loan with Rhode Island Housing. So you pay it at the same time you pay your first loan. So we call it the big loan and the little loan. That's 15 years. You can pay that off sooner if you want. I have clients that are like, you know what, I'll just pay more towards it to get rid of that. Same thing, if you refinance or whatever, you have to pay whatever is you want. FHA we just went over. We do Mass Housing, Connecticut Housing, all of the housings. We're actually in all 50 states. Like we can work on about 50 states. As far as I don't know about the banking pieces, but we can do your loan in North Carolina if you want, or Florida. We have, which is what we're really known for right now, is our community lending. So we have a few. We have 4 different programs. The one that gets the most attention is our Home Opportunity Program, because if you buy in what we call a platinum area, and you're going to say, well, where's the platinum area, Michelle? And I'm going to tell you, I don't know, because we have to look it up in the census. It's per address. So it's not like all of Providence, all of Pawtucket, all of Central Falls. So the realtor and I work closely together. But if you get into a platinum area, you save 2% of the interest rate for the market. So right now, it's 6.75. If you buy that house on 123 Main Street and it's in the platinum area, it's 4.7. It's a conventional loan, so you don't have that mortgage insurance we talked about. So we give you $1,500, sorry, 2 zeros, not 3, towards your closing costs. I've had people save $1,000. I just closed 2 loans at the beginning of this month. One saved $1,000 a month. The other one saved $1,028 a month with our program. I've had people save $700 a month. It's a lot of money. A lot of money in your pocket. So a lot of people use it. So we have that one, and then that's platinum. Gold is 1%. So you're still saving. And what happens is, sometimes when you go and your realtor presents, like, oh, here's my offer for my client, FHA, because there's different regulations for the inspection. And then you come with your conventional offer. It could be the same amount, but because yours is conventional, they'll take yours because it's less of a hassle as far as the regulations go. So the fact that these loans are all conventional makes your offer a little bit more easy. The thing that we do with this loan is, instead of letting you borrow $15,000 or $20,000, we let you borrow, depending on what you qualify for, 15% or 17%. So you're only putting 3 or 5% down. So you're still getting the 103. You're just financing it. And even though you are financing that, you're still saving $1,000, $700, because your rate is lower and you don't have that mortgage insurance. So it's worth coming in and checking it out. We can also do 100% financing. I say that lightly because a lot of people promote it, but you have to qualify for that 100%. It's not like just because you qualify for the program, you qualify for 100%. We had a lot of issues with people coming in and saying, I want to apply for the 100%. No, it's an exception that they do depending on how much your debt to income is and how much like your portfolio. Because we as lenders, we have to present that to the board. Like, here's Susie, and this is how much she makes, and I think she qualifies, and she should be accepted for this program for these reasons. But it is saving. And then the other 3, I'm missing one, are 2 loans as well, but they don't have the bigger discount. So one of them, you get your regular interest rate 6.75, but your other loan has a 2% discount. We'll go over all of that and what you qualify for once you kind of come in and see us.
I was just going to say, it's not your job to remember all of this either.
No, none of this.
It's an open invitation to come hang out with Michelle and have these conversations based on your very unique scenario. And as you're thinking about it, you come in to talk to us about your general financial plan, and you say, I want to buy a house in my 30s, in my 20s, because I want to pass this house down to my kids, or I want to start building generational wealth, whatever it might be. Housing, this does not need to be a part of your plan for the immediate future. It's just making sure it's a conversation that helps you prioritize what's important.
The other point I want to make, a lot of people are like, oh, I don't need, they're saying they're giving money away. Even if you qualify for the 100% financing, you still need money in your pocket because you have to give your EMD or down payment. So it's like when you buy a car and you see it in a lot and you give the dealer like, hey, hold it for $200, don't show it to anybody. Kind of the same thing. They accept your offer. and these are usually it's 5,000. Don't show the house. This is my interest. This is me letting you know I'm 100% honest and willing to buy this house. So you have to have that money in there. That's not part of the financing. It gets deducted from your that 3% or 3.5%, but you have to give that up front. So if you don't have that, then you're not 100% ready. You have to have the money for the inspection. So the bank does not require you to do an inspection, but we recommend you do. That inspection is going to tell you if there's mold in the basement, whatever secret thing they might have, because that inspector is going to come in for you. And then sometimes it's like, I don't want to buy this house because it leaked, there's flooding in the basement because he was able to see the watermarks or whatever. Or that there's tires. That's what, there's tires here, so there must be a leak. I'm like, okay. And then the third thing is you need to have the money for your appraisal. That we require. That's what's gonna give us the value of the house. So let's say I'm selling it for $700,000 and the appraiser says it's $650. It's $650, but they have to bring it down. Now, if you're buying it for $650 and it comes back at $700, we're not gonna say nothing because now you bought it with $50,000. And sometimes if you tell the seller they wanna now pull it from you and put it back in the market because they know how much it's worth. But just know that you still need to save, to your point, money to buy a house, even though we're helping you with your financing. It's just not 130%. Questions so far? I talk a lot. I talk fast. Good.
This is your last slide, but.
Sorry, I have a previous engagement, so that's why I'm gonna have to sneak out. So the first thing we do, like we said, is pre-qualify you. It's different than pre-approving. Pre-qualifying is checking your credit and saying, hey, you qualify based on this. Pre-approving is we called your job. We verified that you're actually working there and making what you said. I've had people tell me that they make $20 an hour full time, and when we get their verification from work, they make $11 an hour and work 15 hours. So we do that's a pre-approval. I know the things I see. Then we start, the mortgage application is when we sit down and gather all your information. And then closing, that's a part to celebrate. We're ready to go. I'll buy you a bottle of champagne. We take our pictures and give you your keys. I think that's it, right? That's my last slide.
That's it.
Do we have any questions? I gave you a lot. My business card is in these bags. Call me. Set up an appointment. We'll go through everything. Like I said, don't feel like, oh my God, even if you just need like guidance, like I want to get started, I don't know where to go. I'm going to say, let's pull your credit, so be ready for that. And we'll go from there. Okay? Did you guys learn anything? A little bit of something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Come on, interact.
Just a quick question. I know there's a lot of information, a lot of pools of information sources you have to come up to, pre-application and pre-approval. But do you, as a loan officer or a mortgage person, do you have that information? I know all those listings before some potential buyers. Do they have? I mean, the documents they have to get them, but do you have like online information you can put all of them, or this is something you have to?
As far as the programs goes, or as far as the houses?
Program goes, like.
No, that'll be me. So when you come in, I'll go into like, okay, if you want to buy with our home opportunity to save whatever, we got to work on your credit. I'm gonna tell you where you gotta go to qualify for everything. If you're like, no, listen, I have my 20%. I'm good, so we'll just go that route. So we'll kind of, in our meeting, we'll go through what's going on. Currently, right now, Washington Trust participates in the federal program, and they're giving, this is free money, $50,000 to Black and brown people only. So, 50,000. So yeah, 50 with 3 zeros after.
50,000 for each individual.
It's a lottery.
Oh,
it's a lottery. So that's the catch. It's a lottery, and you have to already have a house with a contract. That's what kind of puts your ticket in. Like, I'm ready to buy, but last year, 5 of my clients won it.
Wow.
That means you can buy your interest rate down. That means you don't have to come out of pocket that 17 or pay your closing costs.
So what does it happen every couple months or something?
They do it in the summer, so April through June. So they do it twice a month, the 1st and the 15th. So we as loan officers try our hardest to, like, the minute that we get a contract in, okay, I just met with a guy at like 9 o'clock last night. I'm like, I need you to sign these documents because we need to put you in for the next one. So Lena and I are the community lenders at Washington Trust. Like I said to you guys before, I do this because I love my community and I want to see it grow. So we don't get paid on rate, we don't get paid on anything. As long as we get you guys don't pay us either. So we want to get you the best rate, the best program, the most money that's out there that we know. Whatever program we can get you, we will. We also have, as my last thing, path to homeownership with Rosa. So sometimes if your credit's really low, I'll pass you over to her. She'll help you with getting your credit going, helps you with budgeting, and she helps you come up with a financial plan. So she does those 3 things, and that's all free. So it's not like you're paying. The only thing you're coming up with is your time.
Has anyone ever thought of therapy? Because sometimes people can be on track, and then something disastrous happens, and people emotionally spend.
No, nobody's thought of that, but that's a good thing. One of the things to piggyback on that, though, the process of buying a house is very stressful, and I say that because it sounds easy. It's not. I'm gonna ask you for everything under the sun. You're gonna get annoyed. It's literally the 3rd most stressful event in anyone's life. First is the death of a family. Second is divorce or separation. And we're right there, number 3, buying a house. It is very, and I say it at the beginning, and no one believes me until they're like, oh my God.
Stop calling me.
Michelle, if you ask me for that bank statement one more time, because so
best friend.
Yes, I like to look at it like, and I always remind them, like, listen, guys, I told you this at the beginning, and I'll end with this. If a friend of yours comes and says to you, let me borrow $100, you're not gonna ask them for what and when they're gonna pay you back, right? No. If you come to me like, Michelle, I need $100, I'm like, for what? My sister, whoever. What do you need $100 for? Oh, I need to do this. Oh, you're gonna pay me back. That's the same thing the bank is doing. Instead, put $50,000. Don't you want to make sure the person can pay you back? If that cousin of yours that doesn't have a job can ask you for $20, you don't got it, because you know you're never gonna see it again.
Oh yeah, Michelle. It's a comment then a question.
Yep.
Sorry, I was over there helping the ladies.
No, it's okay.
As a licensed trauma-informed clinician, so if anybody needs therapy or counseling, I'm gonna leave some cards on the table. Perfect. And your clients get crazy, send them to me. Yeah, Michelle, we do it right now. Shameless plug for everybody.
We see. I get to know you on a real personal level, because I've had. I'll be candid. Is this really being recorded?
Yes.
No names. I won't say any names.
Yeah.
I've had men. So one of the questions that we ask is, "Hey, do you pay child support?" No, I do not. And then when they leave, he calls me. Yes, I do. She doesn't know I have a child that I'm paying child support. So put it in there so we don't get denied, but don't tell her.
What?
How's that possible?
It's because if they have an there's a lot that happens in this process, and I get to know you on a different level. So.
Michelle, I should have another question real quick.
Yep.
And maybe, what branch are you in, number 1?
I'm in Oneyville in Providence.
The Oneyville branch?
Yep,
Okay.
so I'm in Oneyville 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I am in our central office in Warwick, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay, and then the second question is, asking for a friend.
Yep.
People are very smart.
You always get a feel. Is there a penalty to your FICO score if you start to close out?
Yes.
Like 7 or 8 credit cards.
Yes. Do not close them if you don't need to. Leave it open.
Why leave it?
We getting ready. Wait a minute, we getting ready to touch that, so I don't want her to get into that.
Okay, so
we're gonna get ready to touch that. But I do want everybody give a round of applause to Washington State. Wow, crazy. I did not expect what I'm receiving from Washington Trust. So forgive me if I'm overwhelmed.
That was beautiful.
It's like, oh wow. And you know what I'm saying? but they raised the bar, you know. Before we move on, and I know we got our keynote speaker, and we got to talk about credit, which is most of it's been covered. So we're gonna just.
Sorry, I didn't know that.
It's good. No, but what we're gonna do is highlight stuff that they didn't touch, and we're gonna emphasize on stuff that they did. Okay, to try to move things along so we can get to our keynote speaker, who's going to speak more about finances. Hopefully everybody's getting something out of this. I appreciate you all being patient. I know it's a lot. When you're being lectured and you have to sit there and listen, but take it all in. It's all for your benefit. And we're going to move on now with basic credit. We got Joyce and then myself. I'll take it from here.
Okay, I'll get out of here. Sorry.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? I know everyone is saying, why are we still in this building, right? We have a lot of information to go over, and we would really like for you to pay attention to some of the information that we're going to be talking about. However, I am a certified wealth educator as well, who teaches people how to build wealth, fix their credit, purchase homes. I'm with United Education Services. My information is here on this table. We offer school scholarships for students who are seniors, who are planning to go to college, freshmen who are planning to go to college. We have a school scholarship. All you would have to do is write an essay on financial literacy and submit it, and we will see if you will qualify for that school scholarship. You could be a high school senior or a freshman going into college. We also offer services how to restore your credit and get you to your blue score. However, your FICO score is not your final score. Your future score is your blue score, where we help you remove those negative things from your credit report. We don't want you to purchase homes in the red or cars in the red because you're just paying for interest. So basically, we want to help you get into the green, get your credit score back on track. We help with budgeting, we help with credit recitation, credit builder, credit monitor, debt payoff. We help with credit attorney, financial lockbox, identity monitoring, saving goals, Rocket Lawyer, and especially a will and trust. A lot of people pass on and don't put their finances and their assets safe in a lock, safe, will and trust, and then their assets are taken away because one, they did not put that information in their will and trust, saying this should go here. And a lot of legal services, they are very, very adamant about what's in the fine print, so it's best to make sure that all of that information is there. No, that's fine. We don't have to move it. Thank you, Sue, for that. We also offer business funding. If your credit scores are 550 and you've been in business for 6 months, you're already halfway qualified. It's just based on the fine print of what is on your credit report. So I'm not going to go into detail because to save for time, we still need to talk about our debt credit report. Again, my name is Joyce Jackson. I am a certified wealth educator with United Education Services. We offer a lot of services to a lot of people in the community, 52 states. We're online. We're on every state where we can utilize those services. Piggyback with Washington Trust, I help with realtors who run into problems where people's credit score is not where it should be, and then we can help them get their credit score where it needs to be so that they can purchase those homes. And Washington Trust is one of the people that a lot of my clients go to, so I'm very familiar with Washington Trust. Again, we want to thank them for being here. Without them, there would be none of us here today, so we appreciate it. So to carry on, we're going to talk about a debt credit report with Supreme Richardson. Our first topic, you want to go into it, please, is paying your bills on time. It's important that we pay our bills on time. Does anyone know why?
For our credit score.
To keep what?
Our credit score high.
Keep your credit score up high. Why it matters. Your payment history is the biggest factor affecting your credit report. Late payments, missed payments, defaults are severe damage in your credit. it's best to keep your utilization down to 30% so that, why? You can continue borrowing people's money. So when we use credit cards, we're borrowing people's money. People want to see that we are able to manage their money so we can build our credit, right? So paying your bills on time is so important. You want to set up automatic payments, reminders, so that you stay on track. Go to the next slide. Keep credit utilization low. Here it is, you have credit here, 750. There, you just borrowed, right? So now, the purchase that you want to purchase costs 550. Are you going to take that whole entire 700 to utilize that item you want for 550? Or are you going to keep your utilization down? Anybody knows?
Keep it down.
Keep it down, okay. Why it matters. Credit utilization, the percentage of your credit limit is another big factor in your credit score. You want to keep it below 30% of the available credit. If you're using a lot of credit, try to pay down balances, requests, and a credit limit increase to improve your ratio. Next slide. You want to review your credit report regularly. Why? Checking your credit report helps you spot errors, right? Here it is, there may be an error on your credit report, but you don't check it, and then another month goes by. So what that looks like is, it's your problem, right? So you must identify when things are not supposed to be on your credit. You want to check the credit report for each of major credit bureaus every year through annualcreditreport.com.
Let me try this one. But it's important for you to monitor your credit. It's so easy nowadays. It was a time when you could not monitor your report. You have to send a letter into these bureaus and then wait for their response. But now there's a number of apps that you can monitor your report. And we're going to get into that later on, but because some of the apps are not the accurate number, it's the estimated number. And most people don't understand the difference between it. They think that's a score, and I think Michelle covered it earlier. But go ahead, Joyce.
Okay, so you want to avoid opening too many new accounts.
I'm bad at this.
You should technically only have 4 credit cards, technically. A secure card, credit cards. You don't want to have too many. Why? Each time you apply for credit, a hard accuracy is made on your credit report. Does anyone understand what that means?
No, I don't.
Okay, so there's hard, then there's soft. Those are called inquiries. The hard inquiries are usually done by, mortgage, car loans, credit cards, not debit cards, but credit cards. And there's a difference between credit and debit. So, that's when you're talking about getting a hard hit, which lasts approximately like 10 years or something to that effect. And it gets removed off your account. So this is why we're going to begin to explain why not to keep asking for credit cards once a month or something to that effect. You shouldn't do that. That's a bad move. Go ahead, Joyce.
Yes.
I have a question. What about the Klarners that's out there? Like everybody, when you online buy, you can even get your airline tickets. You can do all of these things with for payment. Like a monthly payment basically. Is that a line of credit? Am I taking that? Is that a line that I'm opening?
No.
Oh, okay.
Does it affect your score? No.
It doesn't.
No.
Good. Okay.
That's a service.
Okay.
Maintain a healthy credit mix. A variety of credit types, such as credit cards, auto loans, or mortgages, can improve your credit score because it shows you capability of managing different forms of debt.
So, like she just got to saying, being responsive to the things that you have is paying attention. Don't just go buy something new and forget about what you've already bought and don't pay for it. That's basically what that is. You want next slide?
Yes, please. Pay down debt. Reducing your overall debt can improve your credit score by lowering your credit utilization and showing that you're actively managing your finances. Consider a secure credit card or credit builder loaner. Why? It is a new to credit or rebuilding credit. Secure credit cards and credit builders can help you build a positive credit history. Go ahead.
Okay.
Keep track of your credit score. Knowing where your credit stands help you spot changes and understand what factors and actions it needs to take to improve or maintain your credit score. As she suggests, ask the question, different apps like Credit Karma, those are the ones that monitor your credit score for free. Okay? Avoid racking up high credit card balances. High balances, especially if you're only making a minimal payment, can harm your credit score and increase the total interest you pay. So basically, if you're, like I was saying, if you get a bill and it says you need to pay $200, but you only need to pay $30, the minimum. So paying $30 is not helping your credit score. You want to pay a little more. You want to do the 15-3 rule, like pay a little more at the beginning of the month, pay a little more at the end, about 3 days before your bill is due, and that will help you build up your credit score as well. At this time, I'm going to let Supreme Richardson take over.
I'm going to step in. When we talk about that 15 rule, I want to explain it a little bit better. Okay, the 15 rule works like this: you pay 15% of what you owe besides your monthly payment. You know. Now, what you want to do is you want to pay off the monthly payment before the end of the month, and then you want to put something a little bit over the monthly payment in the ending of the month. Most people don't have the finances to do it that way, but that's a credit hack. It's kind of saying, this guy is paying so much on a regular, he's getting 2 payments in on this card a month. Gives you additional score. Now, credit. Do everybody understand what credit scores are? What are they?
Credit scores are. I mean, the way I want to put it, I'm not really saying I'm an expert, but credit scores are basically the amount of trust that banking companies, like I don't know how you specifically put it, but the amount of trust the bank gives you. Because if, let's say, you have at 100, that's not a very good credit score. People are going to see he's not that good to trust. But if you have an 850, which is a great, excellent credit score, they're like, oh, he has very nice time.
To break it down, my brother over here, Rick, says it's your credit score is a numeral representation of your credit worthiness. That's the easy way to say it. So remember that, because I used to do what you're doing. All right. Your credit worthiness, which means that if you have credit worthiness, the lender doesn't have a problem in lending to you. But if you damage that worthiness, there's a question mark of should we lend it to them? And if we do lend it to them, how much money can we make off them? That means you're going to get the higher rate. Okay, so you want to be careful on that. Now, again, you've heard everybody talk about percentages. Everybody understand what utilization is?
Is it like, so say I have $100 credit card, but I spend every month $100. That's what she was saying earlier, right? Like,
if you have a $100 credit card and you're spending $100 a month, you're spending more than 30% utilization.
So if I have a $100 credit card, I should only be spending $30?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can spend 100, but you want to keep, if you pay it down to 30 or less.
Correct.
Because something's going to cost you $100, but as long as you pay enough to bring it back down to that 30%, you're doing good.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like, you don't have
Yes.
to not spend $100. If you have the money to pay it off, at least almost in full to that 30% ratio, you're good.
Okay. Payment history, always keep that at a 35% type of, showing that you're making your payments on time. Link to credit history is very important. Is keeping a credit card for a long term. That's your best card. Don't close it. Just keep it open.
Can I just add something to that?
Sure.
My mom put me on a credit card when I was a kid, and I still have that credit card today, and I don't have the physical credit card. I don't spend any money on it. I get a new one every 3 years because they think my expiration date comes up, and I'll put like 2 transactions on it so they still see it. I fill my gas tank, and then I pay it off, and then I don't use the card ever again. But that credit card has been with me since I was 17. And if I closed that card today, my credit score would tank. Because that credit card gives me the 15, 20-year credit history. How old am I? 35. It gives me 20 years of credit history, even though I don't use it, right? So even if you have a credit card, it's the oldest one you have, and you barely use it anymore, you don't want to use it anymore, cut it up. Put it in a block of ice in the back of your freezer. So you won't use it, but you still have it because that length of time makes you look real good to all these
Sabrina, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do credit card companies work on like a month-end cycle? But you have to be aware of like, oh, this company is the 15th, so make the payment on the 13th.
Well, credit card companies work pretty much like the first quarter of the month, which is the first 2 weeks, and then the last quarter of the month, which is only 1 week. Somebody taught me that, and I said, what the hell? Why they do 2 weeks in the beginning? Because most people pay their bills on the so they get a lot of payments and inquiries and all this stuff that's coming in the first of the month, and then the last of the month is when they finalize things. When do they report out the numbers? Is in the following month. They never report your numbers of the month. So the number you get, like from these apps, which I'm going to get on those right now, are estimated numbers. They're not the actual numbers that your credit report is. It gives you an estimate of where you're at. So when it's like everybody comes to me and they go, I got Self, I got Experian and stuff like that. But if you don't know how to read them, they can misguide you in a sense. So you want to be careful of that. The way of getting your proper credit score is inquire from the bureau itself. Direct bill. They'll tell you right off the rip, give you a whole list of everything, and they show you your whole history. Now, why is it good to get the report? Because you get to see what's going on. And a lot of people don't understand. In today's age, it's cyber thieves. They can get into your credit, use your credit, you got things on your credit that you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful and pay attention to that. Sometimes it's good. I got a friend of mine, I'm going to tell a true story here. This is crazy. He did not know he bought a house in Hawaii. He did not know he bought 40 acres in Texas. He did not know. But he found out when he got his credit report. And he's going through a lot of things, either to claim it or, get it off or something to that effect. But this is just one of the things that can happen to you without you even knowing. Other people can use your credit. Okay? So you want to secure and make sure your information is safe.
Excuse me, Supreme, can I add to that?
Sure.
As crazy as that sound, you'd be extremely surprised at how often, how much more it's accelerated in terms of what's happening out there in the marketplace. I can tell you, it's almost on a weekly basis that we're working with someone because they're finding things that come up on their credit report, a credit card that they thought that they never had, just the craziest things. And before you know it, it's too late, and now their credit is affected, especially when they go to buy that car that they need, or they're ready to purchase their first home, and come to find out they already own a home, it happens more often than not. So that's where, and honestly, that's where it's important to really pay attention and check your credit. So, definitely want to stress that out.
Always check your report. Keep your ID, keep yourself on watch, because if you don't, there's somebody else going to utilize it. Now, who's got a question?
I just want to say, so I always have had this theory that ain't nobody gonna steal my identity or my credit because my credit is not, I'm working on my credit. You know what I'm saying? So I've always had this theory, like, why would they take my information? All they gonna find is my bills, my student loan bills.
Got the answer for that. Your credit here is one thing. Your credit there is another. You gotta say, because most times cyber thieves take your information and they don't use it in the same country you're in. I mean, there's occasionally that they do, but they're mostly using it abroad. Okay, which gives you a whole new dynamic of certain things. And I'm uncovering a lot of this, thievery and stuff like that. Like, oh my God, how did they do it? How did they get it? But unfortunately, there are people who counterproduct and look at ways of stealing. So they're very, very productive. Credit score ranges goes from 300 to 579. If you are in between 300 and 579, you are what? Poor. 580 to 6.
You have a poor score.
Poor score. Yeah. Well, most times then you are poor. I mean, you're not paying your bills.
I'm just adding that one.
Okay, 580 to 669 is fair. Yeah, that means that you're in the middle there. People got them going, 670 to 739. Who can tell me what that is? That's pretty good. That is good. Anything over 790 is
Great.
excellent. You can probably walk in and get whatever you want if you're over 790. Pretty much. Again, I'm going to retract and say don't close accounts. Once you have an account, let's say if you get mad at the credit company, because I've done this, and I want to close the account. No, I just cut the card up, put it to the side. Okay? Let them sit there and get no service from you, but they service you. Again, learning how to make your money work for you. Okay? Someone asked me one time, if I got a debit card, does that help me with my credit? No, it doesn't. That's just your money getting to you. Now, if you get a self-debit card, now you're having a debit card that reports your credit. Do anybody know what Self is? It's an app, by the way. Okay, Self is an app that they developed to help individuals build their credit worthiness. Now, you can loan money to yourself, with a fee, of course, and you can absolutely get a credit card for yourself, which you put your money in. Okay?
You're talking about cutting off your card and stuff, not using it. Do you have to have money in the account still, or for it to be
Make sure the card's down to zero now.
Okay. You still have the account open and stuff. It doesn't have to have any money in it.
Well, the account's gonna always have. You're using somebody else's money, and this is one of the beautiful things that I like doing. Don't take me personal, Russell. That's right. I love that you all helped us out here. But it's good to use other people's money now.
Right.
When you are using other people's money, it's digital. It's not the actual physical money, right? So therefore, if they say, I give you $250 and you got mad, you didn't want it, you pay that $250, zero balance, put the card aside, guess what? They're reporting that you're good all the time. But let's say you put the card away and you said, screw them and I'm not going to pay them. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to report negative, which is going to lower your credit. Okay? You want to keep your credit going and working for you. Okay?
You have a question? One over there.
So, you talking about how
the credit that they built, like hackers built, they're not building it here, they're building it in other countries. How do you get a credit report from another country?
I don't know if that's possible, because then it could be possible, but I have not, how do you say, ventured in that lane, because I deal with the U.S.
It's a different system.
It's a different system.
It's a different system, but it's not interchangeable. Like what happens in Europe, if you come here, you're starting over.
Starting over.
So same thing over there. You go there, you're starting over.
Starting over.
So to Sabrine's point, yeah, you can say, okay, I have a bad credit history. Over there, you're new. You can start off fresh. So that's kind of how why it's so advantageous for a lot of cybersecurity, cyber attacks.
Card just never like just they didn't use the card and pay off the card. It's just like you opened it, it's like.
Well, I always say if you're going to open it, use it once. You know why?
So really doesn't go with the card.
No, if you use it once, now you showed them that you can use it, you paid it, and it's done.
And then you put it away.
Then you put it away. But if you order, and I've had some people do this, they got the card and they set it aside just for emergencies. Now that card didn't report on their report until the emergency arrived and they used it. And they didn't understand that. I'm still trying to figure that out too. Well, you got the credit card. And I guess it is going based off of your track record. If you're not doing something with something, how can I report something? You get it?
And some credit cards, some companies will require 5 transactions every year or something. Some may have an annual fee. So it's
Please read.
Yeah, just understand the requirements for that card. Because if you open a card, you spend $20 on it, you pay it off, then you put it away, but you're required to spend money on it at least once a year, then that card's going to get closed on you.
They're going to close it, not you.
Yeah. And so it doesn't help you at all in that circumstance.
Other part is I'm going to hit is disputes. Please look at your credit reports and scrutinize it very, very much. And you have the right to dispute everything that's on there, no matter if you look at it and say, oh, yeah, I did do that. You know what I'm saying? Dispute it. Because when you file a dispute, you don't know what they're going to say, hey, they're going to take it off. The other part is most disputes, they don't have all the information. And sometimes because of identity theft and so forth, so on, credit cards are required to remove anything that we dispute and if they don't have proof that it is us. And you can ask for all those things. And there's a lot of process that you can go through. I'm sure Washington Trust, Joyce. I want to say myself, but I'm already thin. But we'll be glad to help you all and guide you all, and that's how to deal with that type of stuff. You know, negotiate with your creditors, because you can call them because if you get your credit report, what's going to come on there is who is the person you took the money from, why, how long, the process, and all. Now you have to contact to the person who you have to call. Call them. You'd be surprised what conversations can happen and how much you can do without even, really moving, and your credit report can change. I had made a few calls on a few of things that I wanted to dispute, and because they didn't have the application itself, ID was one of them. They didn't have a picture ID to prove it was me. Both of those things got removed off my report. And that's because I disputed it. Okay, so don't be afraid to dispute it. You have tools, use them. Okay? So without further ado, I think we hit a lot on credit. Washington Trust touched a lot on credit. We have a packet, if you're anybody that's interested. It's a research that I've done around credit, and I guess we'll see if we can put them in the bags. But if you want one, please let us know. We'll make sure we give it to you. And without further ado, I want to get the keynote speaker up here because I'm dying. I'm dying in the pockets, y'all, to hear this man speak. First off, let me talk about how I ran into this guy. Washington Trust You know, they gave us a nice little donation sponsorship to get here. It was in a check. And I said, okay, we got to go to Washington Trust. And we went to his bank and we tried to, cash this check because we had to pay people and pay off the vendors. And we didn't know what we was going to do or how we was going to get this thing done. And that was only because we didn't want to deposit it because we went to the bank that we originally had. And they said if we deposited, we couldn't do nothing for 7 business days. I'm like, what? This guy figured a way, called Jules, figured a way to make it happen, and we ended up with an account with Washington. Not only that, my wife went there, and we ended up opening a CD? Yeah, saving CDs, high yield, and all that stuff. I'm listening to him and my wife talk. I'm like, oh. She does taxes, by the way, so if y'all ever need taxes done, she's a wonderful tax lady. They can get into that number talk. But here's my man Marcus going to come up here and feed y'all with some good information.
All right, welcome. Thank you guys. All right, first and foremost, thank you for inviting me, Ruth, as well as I thank you guys for actually taking your time on a Saturday to come and listen to good information. Also, too, want to commend all the different presenters that were here today to kind of give you some good information on different topics, but it all comes to one thing, and it's financial literacy. It's really being able to understand how to manage money, how to manage credit, but more importantly, how to generate, wealth, not just for you, but for your families. So just give you a little background on me. Again, my name is Marcus. I've been in banking for 24 years. I started off not knowing not one iota, one thing about finance. I'm a first generation American. Both my parents are from Haiti. They came over, had the dream, but didn't have so much the financial, background to kind of, enforce on us and to give us a good movement in terms of how we move financially. So, in the 24 years I've been in banking, I've learned a lot, and more importantly, I've been able to share it with not just my family and friends, but for my community. Right? When I knew I was coming here to talk, I kind of, was going to come up with a speech for you, but I want to kind of talk from the heart, from experience, that no matter where your background or where you come from, it doesn't matter. If you have the ability to learn, the ability to listen, you're going to be in a better position than when you first started. The fact that you guys are here today, you're already ahead of the game. Now, I'm just going to look to see from you guys to take the information that you received, you've been given, and put it to work. Put it to work for you, put it to work for your family. So, 3 things I really want to talk about is, again, financial literacy. I can't stress enough how important that is. I think, when we talk about brown and black communities, that's still a key area that we need more focus on. We need to know the game in a sense, how to navigate, how to navigate banking, how to navigate credit, how to navigate generating wealth. That's still a topic of discussion that's not talked about. So take advantage of a lot of things. And I'm not just talking about school or going to college or going to, some form of education. There's so many different avenues that you can take to gain information. YouTube, coming to these events, talking to professionals, talking to those that have been there, that have been at that your position. I think for me, as a retail banking professional, that's what I try to impart when I sit down with a client, when I sit down with the new business, someone just starting off. It's really just to start from there. How can I help you? What knowledge can I impart and help you get off to a good start? So when you talk about financial literacy, it really as much as we can give you that information, it's up to everyone here to take that information and build upon that. Use that as your baseline. Okay? Today, someone might just learn a little bit about credit, right? How to utilize credit cards. But now, take the next step. Go and figure out, okay, use a credit card. What other different tools can I use to, again, purchase a home, purchase my next car? I think collectively, over time, by taking that information, you're just putting yourself in a better position. Does that make sense? Did I say that? Yes. The second thing I want to talk about is sound money management skills. All of this for me, when I think of that, when I sit down with clients, as you know, as a banker, I get to see a lot of transactions. I get to team. When you think of a bank, you think about your mortgage, or even with Joyce, and what she does and helps in our community. You got to be able to take advantage of that and actually come and have the discussion, ask questions, take notes. Sound money management is just that. It's really just learning, but also put it into play, make it a habit, make it a practice. Today you heard about budgeting, the 50-30-20 rule. I learned that honestly late age. I learned that, I think I was just maybe 24, 25 years old. Even though I learned it late and I paid for it. However, but just started that process, putting that into play, changed my whole trajectory of my life financially. Obviously, getting married, kids, buying the first home. It just, if I can impart anything, is to make sure you start somewhere. Make a point to make one simple change. One simple change becomes two different changes. Okay? A third change happens when you see the successes of the things that you're doing. Okay, if it's only $25 that you can put away on a monthly basis, start with that. Small, yeah, it's small, but you know what? Small becomes mighty. It grows. $25 a week is $100 a month. $100 a month is $1,200 a year, and so forth. As you get better, you're going to want to save more. As you have other needs, other goals that you set, you're going to put more opportunities, more money into that because you see the value in it. If anything, use the partnership. A lot of times when I go to different events, they find out I'm a banker. I get bombarded with questions. What's the rate on the savings? What's the rate on the checking? All of that. That's great, right? And I love doing that. Happy to do that. But more importantly, I want to hear the questions of, I want to get to this point. What are some of the things I can do? Can you give me some ideas? Can you give me some tips? I cherish those moments because at that point I know, okay, they want to put a game plan in place. They want to be better off a year from now than where they are now. So when you're out there, I don't care if you're going to, going out to dinner, you're going to see your friends, you're going shopping, you meet an individual, you find out what they're doing, and then in finance, ask them a question. Ask them something that's relative to something that you're dealing with either now or something you think about in the future. Take advantage of your partners. I think I said it earlier before. When you're not feeling good and you're hurting, where do you go? Right? So you got to do your taxes and you got to make sure that you're paying Uncle Sam and keeping as much money in your pocket from Uncle Sam. Where do you go? Right? So I like money. I like having money. Right? I like keeping money. I don't like giving money away. Who should you be talking to? Right? It's the same thing. Create those same partnerships. Obviously, I've been with Washington Trust, and I'm very proud of the work that we do. But My main goal here for you today is to ensure that you do get a partner. If it's with us, wonderful. I'm happy to be there. We're happy to support you. But get a banking partner. Find that if you have one now, really go out there and get that. That's their job. Their job is to be there to support you. If they're not supporting you, then like a doctor, you're gonna go elsewhere. You're gonna go look for a different banker. You gotta go for a different accountant. You gotta go for a different doctor. But make that a priority. Okay. Even when you leave here today, start thinking about that conversation on Monday. When was the last time I talked to my banker? When was the last time I talked to my accountant? Right. But those two key points when you talk about financial literacy, it's not only going to help you guys, it's going to help your family. The knowledge you have, you're going to be able to pass it on. And more importantly, to the next generation. I stress this a lot, especially in my community, our community. We need to do a lot more of that. And it starts off educating ourselves, but also educating our children, right? Some money management skills, just like you pass on the recipe, just like you pass on your knowledge of family or whatever, you should be passing on the knowledge of finance to them as well. This is going to protect them and set them up for their lives moving forward, but also their children. We got to start getting to that habit. So when I do have these conversations, if you leave with anything, I want to ensure that you take that and take it to heart. Get your children ready. Prepare them, protect them, okay? Another thing that we don't talk much of, you heard it a lot today, is generational wealth. When I say generational wealth to you guys, what does that mean to you? What are you passing down?
Assets, trade, money, property.
Okay.
Knowledge.
Thank you. Knowledge. You are passing down, assets. You're passing down the house, but you're passing down knowledge. Because that knowledge is going to help them. One, keep the money that you left them. Protect the house investment. And also understand credit so they're not owing Uncle Sam or owing debt that they should be owing. Okay. Generational wealth is something, even I learned late, even as a banker, but then to actually see it in practice, see it in play. And it's not that you make a lot of money to be able to set your future downline, your kids up for generational wealth. It's knowledge. I've seen doctors and lawyers make a lot of money, but through not having the knowledge of, sharing that knowledge with their kids in terms of finance, they leave the money, but the kids don't know how to manage it.
Yeah, that makes me think about even education is such an asset to Black people and Black and brown people, but a lot of folks who even finish school, first generation college graduates, still don't have the knowledge and the financial literacy to build that generational wealth, It's still compared to our white counterparts, their first time graduation, whatever the term is, they still have a better chance of making it financially and building generational wealth, passing down assets to their family members than we do.
That's a very good point. I'm going to tell you, probably about maybe 8 months ago, I went to an event, and I learned an interesting statistic that, to be honest with you, I thought about it the whole drive home the following weekend. So, to that point, okay, you have, different communities, but different communities have different ways of passing down knowledge. Unfortunately, like I said, in our community, we don't do it enough. We're not consistent with it. Not being consistent with it is to that point. Even when we're setting our kids up for, educational success, they may have educational success based on what they're going to be doing for their lives. But most importantly, they're deficient in the financial education is finance. Finance is also, education. We have to start to do that. We're doing it better now, and through great organizations like BLM. You've heard of other organizations in our community, but they're bringing the knowledge for it to actually take place and to be entwined into what we do. Is you guys have to take it back. You have to teach your sister. You have to teach your brother. You teach your mother and father. I did, and to help them to understand. But we have to share that knowledge. The more we share that knowledge, I guarantee you, it's not going to be overnight. But at least 2, 5, or 10 years from now, we're going to start to see increments. We've seen it now, right? So, 3 things. Financial literacy is in my vision, it's a requirement right off the bat. There's no more. Well, we have to put that as part. We're teaching our kids how to eat right. We're teaching them, what not to do as outside of the home and whatnot. But teach them, hey, how to save. If you have $100, are we spending the $100? Right? How do we allocate those funds? Teach them, how to live on 80% of that, of their money, right? One of the things that I also pick up a lot too is when I sit down and I see like advertising, right? They advertise a lot of, name brands, this and that, right? But we get so focused on that versus, all right, where do you spend your money? How do you allocate your money? Where to put the money? So the more we as parents, we as brothers and sisters, and even children, we have to pass that knowledge on. So, a couple of things I just wanted for you guys today to take with you after all this. Again, thank you for this organization for putting this together, right? I want you guys to invest, starting today, invest today in financial literacy. Right? Today when you leave, don't just go home and say, that was great, we learned a lot, but start putting a plan together. Keep it on the forefront. Okay? I heard you today, man. I'm sorry, your name? Tisha? So nice to meet you. Did you ask questions about your son? Okay. I love that. You know what? That's what I love to hear. I want you to start thinking of things to help put him in the best position. How do I save money for him? How do I put him in there? When he's old enough, he can take over. The only thing I would add to that is what you're learning today, and what all of you guys have the ability to do, is start learning to teach him, okay, when you get this money, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to prepare, okay? How are you going to start setting up your life? Okay? So, again, that's part of financial literacy.
No, I had him late.
It's never too late.
No, I was 40 when I had him.
Okay. But you know what? You're gonna put him in, just today. You're gonna put him in a great position for success.
So I need him to be able to, because my other ones have me at 40 and above. I'm not guaranteed he's going to get 40 years with me to guide him.
Right.
So he might be the one that at 30, I might not be here. Not saying, but I'm just saying, I had him at 40.
Well, the way I would say it, I'm going to celebrate you because even, you had him at 40, but you're already still with that mindset to prepare him for the future, even if it's without you. So I commend you on that. So, and again, that's the mindset. Like I said, if you can take from anything from today, think of not just tomorrow, not just now. Think of the next 5 years. Think of the next 6 years. Put a game plan in your head. Right? It's not easy, but learn to be consistent. Take one piece, something today, and run with it. Okay? Something you do is going to affect someone else. Your son's going to learn from you because he's going to witness the things, the changes that you made. how my mother managed money, how my mother helped me to save money, right? How I started my business. You know, I'm going to tell you, you know, how to go around and get the things you need, and how to use the system and leverage it. One thing too, I say to a lot of people, and for those that, you know, that work for me, that come up a lot, I'm going to tell you one thing only, to be sure that you understand. No one's gonna bet on you unless you bet on yourself. You need to bet on yourself. Put that on you. You guys have the ability to achieve. All you need is knowledge. Take advantage of that. Come see you know, the leadership here. Come see your banker. We'll talk to the accountant. Any information, anything you pick up that you possibly can, you're only going to put yourself in that place. So again, I'm gonna put that on you guys. I want you to go out there and be successful. All right? Any questions?
I don't have a question. I just want to add a comment. First of all, I'm a gardener, so today, your keynote speech planted seeds. You seeded this idea about knowledge is power, and then financial literacy is one of the most important part, because everybody says money, bottom line, but people don't really relate to it. But I think I want to thank everybody who made this event happen, because it was very relatable, and also I think on behalf of my youth, I think they really didn't expect, they're just gonna come and help, but in here I think I was really happy to see engaging them, and thank you for doing this. And thank you so much.
Actually, they had great questions. They had the opportunity to actually listen. I mean, they're young, right? That tells you that's hope. They're starting to understand. They're starting to learn the game. And it's really just that, right? It's only the difference of knowledge. Right. If we have the knowledge, we keep enforcing it, we're consistent in that message. You're going to see big things. You're going to see.
And then if we have the knowledge, we can make informed decisions. And then that really reinforces their critical thinking. Right. And that also kind of can spread into other, dimensions of their lives. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having me.
There he is.
Multitasking. First off, I want to say thank you to everybody who remained, and they see still here for session, because even a touch of this is good. I want to say thank you for that. Jill, can you please?
I'm not going to run down
These are my two favorite Washington Trust people. And what I want y'all to do, don't just walk out of here and just say, hey, can't do it, man. Good, whatever. Go to the events. Put the test to the fire.
Closest to here.
Yeah, the branches that you guys are at?
Yeah, we have one in Cumberland. We also have one in Rumford, right over the line in Pawtucket, that's easily accessible. East Providence,
Ain't there one right there? No problem.
North Providence, North Providence, Rumford, Cumberland, and don't tell anybody, this will be recorded. Don't tell anybody I watch your trust, but I'm pretty sure we're opening one up in Pawtucket in the coming years. So.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So I do have something I want to give both of y'all, but I didn't have it up here, so I gotta go back to my office and write it. All right. But I don't want to hold everybody up, because I think everybody want to get up off their seats and talk to these people and get their cards and so forth. So I want to talk to everybody that's in here. Again, I want to welcome y'all to the African American Innovation Center. We're each one teach one. We're here to learn and build from where we are. Okay. It doesn't matter where you are. As long as you start building, you'll get up to the top soon. Okay. So thank you for coming to Dreams of Reality. And look out for phase 3. We're going to maybe get a phase 3.
Thank you.
Terry, I'm here. Nice to meet you.
You have to look up. Many good services. So impressive.
My schedule just changed. I got a lot to do.
Today?
Always Thursday.
Exactly.
Three. You do that.
You look just like you.
Dang. And that was on an Easter. So I was, like 8. And the only photo I had, I lost the photo, but I had it down. And he didn't speak English. I'm named after him. That's where Tino comes from. Tino. But yeah, that's where he is. But he didn't speak English. But I was always with him, but I didn't pick up on the language.
Yeah,
because my great grandmother spoke English. She spoke to him. I was always there. But I never.
I've been friends for 5 years.
So that's literally all you need to do. Just go home and talk to your parents about adding those.
For 5 years. You think I would know that? I don't.
I would also just
5 years. I've been saying, learn another language.
So we have a couple branches in Providence.
There it is, right?
Yeah.
Right? But I didn't. Like, even at work all day, I got an earbud in my ear. I could have been
So that may be a good adjustment to just get an environment so that you can start talking.
Thank you, Supreme.
Even I got a phone here for him, but just 8 hours.
Your dad. So, and maybe your dad, your relationship with that was changes, but if you agree to that will come Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
But
Have fun
my
tonight.
thing is,
Thank
get
you.
rid of the bank. I gotta take some off now. Nah, I put some in this morning. It can't even trade.
Yeah, I need to get a bank in person because all my banking is online, and that ain't real. So.
Yeah, last time I seen them was 10 years ago.